The following live stream has been approved for restricted audiences only. It will definitely contain strong language and maybe some adult themes. Almost certainly. Viewer inebriation is advised.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where we often say, when the alcohol goes in, the negativity has to go somewhere else. And tonight, hopefully not a lot of negativity. We have looked at films, television, shows, and other entertainment from the past to get us through these dark, inept, and deconstructionist times. But tonight, we are going to get even more fundamental. We'll be discussing the original physical media, books. And tonight's subject matter expert is our very own regular co-host, that librarian in training, Aged Boomer. So get comfortable, top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on, and what you're currently reading in the chat, and we'll get this Canarble Wagon rolling right now.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Wolf comes in and says, "How'd you learn to talk to animals?" And I said, "Books." And the wolf says, "Touche." And we had a good laugh about that.
Books! You can learn to talk to animals from them. Welcome, Vasalud, and it's good to see all of you. Hope you guys are all doing well. And, of course, as I always ask, what are you sipping on? But tonight, I am also asking, what are you reading? We'll get to what I've been reading lately, but... I'm sure you all want to know what I'm sipping on. And all of you that have joined me throughout the week on my various streams probably already know what it is. Those of you that, can read, since we're talking about books, probably already know what I'm having tonight.
Release the Kraken. Release the Kraken! The Kraken! Why is the rum always gone?
Well, it's not gone yet, but it's going. It is going. Just one second. Oh, it is. This is a strong one, but this Kraken rum is really, really sweet. So it sneaks up on you. You don't realize how strong it is. Let's say hi to all of you all. Starting with, first I'm seeing Curtis Selby. Good evening. I will be here for a while on my phone. I may go to the TV in a bit, so if I don't respond to chat, that will be why. The computer is in the shop. Yeah, those of you that joined us last night on Netters Network, we had a chit-chat with Curtis Selby. Problem was, his computer went foobar, so... he was actually commencing the stream through his phone. I thought it was...
and then it was actually... Yeah. I thought this was kind of cool. Near the end, his electric went out. So it looked like we were talking to a ghost.
yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And, of course, regular... how do you talk about Saturdays? He often has us guests on his show, but he's often Netter's co-host. However you look at the Saturday watch parties, it's Big Al Presents. He says, "Hello, my friends. Hope you have a great stream." Of course we will have a great stream because you were here to wish us one, and all of y'all are here wishing us well. You guys are awesome. Of course, Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. Welcome. And, of course... the hostess with the mostest, Lady Mist. Thank you so much for being here, encouraging us with your emojis or those emoticons or whatever you want to call them.
Emoticons?
I suppose. And then, of course, Dee Dee Meyer Jr. Hello. Good to see you, my friend. You guys are saying hi to each other, which is always good.
And I'm probably saying hi to people twice because there's so many people in the chat, so many comments like, did I say hi to them yet? I don't want to miss nobody.
Did I? Oh, there's Mr. Londell. Greetings. Currently reading Zen and the Art of Making a Living. I totally understand that. I don't know that one. I did not know that was a book, but I guess it doesn't really surprise me. There you go. Enjoying a Shiner Bach and reading for the fourth time Bushido, The Soul of Japan by Inazo, I'm going to butcher this, Nitobi? Best as I can figure. And guys saying hi to each other. That's always awesome. JPRPH1, welcome, welcome. Deleted Scenes. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Salute. Let's see. And let's get this pretty lady in here. Forthwith and necessarily. How are you, my dear, and what are you sipping on?
I am doing well. It is Friday. It's the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually a very easy week for me, which I really liked because I've had some tough weeks at work, and this one wasn't bad. So,
Yep.
what's that? You say salute?
Salute.
I am drinking, of course, a Netter's Nectar, which is cranberry grape juice with some coconut rum, specifically Malibu coconut rum. And what I am currently reading, well, you know, a lot of you might know the book series, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. Well, I'm reading a parody book on that called The Dragon with the Girl Tattoo.
Yeah. I think that's totally cool. And Sir Torrin Clegane, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Do you have any plays coming up in the near future, or are you going to take a break for a while? Let's see. Hello again. I think that merits another shout out. That's fair.
And of course, we are simulcasting on my channel and Boomer's channel, so if you wouldn't mind going over there and giving us a thumbs up on each of ours,
Absolutely.
that'd be greatly appreciated.
Of course, I've got the Rumble stream up as well.
And if you drop a hello,
I'm also
I'll
on.
give a hi, sweetie, back.
I'm also on. What's it called? The Twitter tweets, X, whatever you want to call it these days. Jesse Guajardo, welcome, welcome. And Samuel Proctor just came home from a wedding reception. That's always nice. That is always nice. Let's see. David Pensek, good to see you, my friend. Let's see.
Did you see Madanui? I think he was right around there.
I didn't. I may have mistook his icon for Samuel Proctor, so I apologize. Madanui, I'm not seeing your comment right now, but Netter's got an eye out for you. And, oh, there you are. There you are. Where do I find such books? I want that squirrel to know I think he's an asshole. Netter feeds the squirrels every day, and she complains, because she also feeds the birds, and she complains that the squirrels get into the bird food and they get it all over the place. So I saw a meme that I had to print out, and she's got it up in her office. It's a squirrel up on its like hind legs going like this, and it's, what is it saying? It's
like, oh, look at me, I'm a human.
I walk on two legs. You don't eat the food you're supposed to eat.
Oh,
blah,
wait,
blah, 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 blah.
Wait, I have to get this.
Yeah. She's gonna. I'll even show it to you because I'll be able to put it up
cute.
on camera. Yep. Let me continue saying hi to everybody while she's getting that. And of course, Age of Boomer, let's get your ass in here. How you doing, my friend? And what are you sipping on? You said it wasn't alcoholic tonight.
No, I do have a Sioux City Sarsaparilla.
Nice.
In the bottle.
Nice.
Remember Big Lebowski when Sam Elliott shows up at the bar and they said,
Yep.
"What you having?" He says, do you have sarsaparilla? We have Sioux City Sarsaparilla. And he says, "That's a good one. That's what I got here."
There you
Look
go.
in the
Specifically.
bottle.
There you
Specifically
go. Nice.
Sioux City Sarsaparilla. Look at that. I took the cap off and the little misty vapors. sort of
Isn't that
popping up
nice?
Out the top.
Isn't
I like
that nice?
it.
So I take it it's a glass bottle.
Glass bottle. Got it from
Guys, you know, they talk about, what is it, BHPs in the plastic and everything? You can taste it. The difference is just... So what does it say? It says, Look at me, I'm a human. Stay away from the bird feeder. You're eating all the bird seed. Blah, blah, blah.
What?
Because squirrels are assholes, just like Matanui said.
My uncle used to feed the squirrels, and we were like, what are you doing? Because they start coming on your property when you do that.
Yeah, exactly. You feed the squirrels, they'll keep coming back. But then again, on the other side of it, if we go like for the weekend, we're busy, and Netter doesn't get a chance to feed the squirrels, she's like, I haven't fed the squirrels all weekend. I'm like, those poor little bastards are starving to death. Don't you feel terrible? She's said, they're not starving to death. I'm like, yes, they are. They're going to waste away to skin and bones.
What gets me is I feed these little buggers pretty much every day. And I've been doing it for about 5 years now.
Yep.
Not once has any of those stupid squirrels come up to me. Yeah. It's like, as soon as they see me, they run. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
They are twitchy little things.
Life is not an old Disney movie. You know, the little woodland creatures don't come up to the princesses. Darth Plato, yeah, I keep all my books too. It's hard. It's hard getting rid of books. It's like sacrilege, right? To get rid of books.
Our front room, I turn into a library.
Yeah. And every now and again I'll look and I'll go, are there books up here that we are never going to read again? If so, we probably need to pass them along. Nate, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
But I've already, purged so many books.
Well, we may have to purge some more, because if we don't, there's no room for any more. Reading Model Railroader that just arrived. Yes.
Magazine?
Yep.
I miss magazines.
Yeah, well, you know.
I said gasoline, not Vaseline. Not gasoline, Vaseline.
I used to get gaming
What's
magazines.
That about? I didn't say either. What are you talking about?
I thought that was in the title or something.
No, reading Model Railroader. It just arrived. Mark is a railroad guy. He's got a whole room dedicated to a train setup. And what was really funny was he did this road section with the buildings and stuff, and it was a specific neighborhood. And it just turns out I happen to know not only the neighborhood he had built up, but the specific building he had that was right adjacent to the tracks was a warehouse that I used to have to go to from time to time when I worked at a video store to pick up videotapes directly from the distributor. I usually have 3 books I'm reading: an audio book, a physical book, and scripture. There you go. Good on you. So right now I'm reading a lot of history and nonfiction. Great Mortality, a book on the Black Death. Yep. The Christians as the Romans saw them, and the Old Testament, 1 Kings. Good. Let's see. The Christians as the Romans saw them book is the one I'm reading as reference for my short story that's set in Neronian Rome. Interesting.
He was not a nice guy.
No.
He's a very bad
especially
guy,
not
actually.
to the Christians.
No,
Troy,
yeah.
I'm currently reading on a app from for Japanese manga, the anime series that didn't get a second season for dumb reasons. Okay, good. Little rodent will regret its very existence. There you go. Let's see here. And YouTube kept filter. You're not allowed to say rodent? Well, you did this time, apparently.
You're not allowed to say rodent?
I don't know. I guess not.
I just did. I'm sorry.
The little rodent. I mean, she literally meant rodent. Book Nerds Unite! 6, it's been so long. It's good to see you, my friend. 6, what are you reading lately? And what are you sipping on?
All right. You're not a person. You're a rodent.
He didn't mean you, 6. He was referencing what Matanui said.
I know.
Sipping on Kentucky Common Amber Cream. Oh, that sounds really good.
It does.
Oh, from work. Okay. It's not officially out till tomorrow, but I have an inside line on it. There you go.
It
Always
sounds very
the best.
smooth.
Based on my work schedule right now, I am planning on... I'm not planning on anything. Of course, I hope it's just this month in June and I can go back to doing things again. Well, keep us posted. Keep us posted. Doctor and author Omega Outlaw, how are you doing, my friend? Had to like all 3 channels. Good.
Thank you, Omega Outlaw.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Samuel Proctor has to comment here. Do I feed the birds tuppence a bag?
Well, not these days. Not with the way inflation is going. We're talking sovereigns here at this point.
Yeah, it's like to get the big, I think it's a 25-pound bag or 15-pound bag from Menards. It's
more than 25 pounds,
Yeah.
British pounds.
yeah, it's expensive.
It's
I bought
got expensive.
2 last time because they were on sale, and I was saving like $5 a bag, so I bought 2.
We have a fence all the way around our yard, so it's obviously easy for birds and squirrels to get in.
And an occasional chipmunk.
Occasional chipmunks. We, at one point, I was like, I'm going to just have a headache if I look out one day and see like a deer eating the but then I realized we've got a fence. The deer are not going to jump over the fence to get into our backyard.
They might.
Oh, Funopola.
We also get raccoons.
And Sin of Sin's Corner. Hello. Happy Friday. Currently listening to
Arnold's
book, Be Useful. And reading Blood Fever by Karen Marie Moaning.
Are you guys on Goodreads?
I am, but I never use it for anything. And I don't keep up with it, and I don't post there like I should, so yeah. And let's see, just watched The Big Lebowski this past Sunday for a live stream. I'll be on next week. There you go. That's going to have to be a Monday watch party for me because I have not yet watched it, and I need to. First time watching The Big Lebowski for you. Only saw it because I had to. Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same situation because I've been saying I'm going to watch it for so long. See, 6 feeds the squirrels too. It's all you Disney princesses. That's what you guys do. I get it. If you feed the squirrels, it makes them easier to hunt. See, it's funny you say that, Nate, because I have thought exactly that. Things have gotten pretty bad, and I'm like, you know what? Comes right down to it. Them squirrels good eating.
Some Disney fans feed the birds tuppence.
Tuppence a bag. Tuppence a bag. I'll tell you what, I have the
Yeah, he's got toppins, not tuppence, but I knew what he meant.
Yeah. I have the CD of the soundtrack for Mary Poppins is the extended one that's got linear notes by the
songwriters, the something brothers, right?
Yeah,
they were in the movie Saving Mr. Banks, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, if I haven't even seen Saving Mr. Banks,
it's really
but
good,
I think
actually,
the story is actually retold there. They tell it on the audio CD, where they tell the story of Tuppence a Bag and how
you have seen it. You watched it with me.
Did I?
Yeah, because that's how I saw it. Because you put it up on the big screen, which I can't do because you have the controls of it.
I must have done then. Yeah.
It was with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and he talks about how, much later in his career, he would, get a little nostalgic and a little misty-eyed, and he'd look out the window and he'd just say, "Play it for me." And I knew what he meant, and he'd play Tuppence a Bag. And I'll tell you what, that song really does always kind of bring a tear to my eye. I love that tune. Darth Plato is reading Kissinger's book on diplomacy and proofreading the treatise on Tsar Paul, and Tsar Paul I, and the Second League of Armed Neutrality. There you go. Yep. Don't want to know what you're doing with Vaseline. It's none of my business. One can never have too many books.
6 says, Disney sucks. Netter and I are non-denominational princesses.
I want to make a comment on that.
I thought that as I said it. The fact is, I kind of meant like classic Disney.
Well, no, so now you must be fans of the Shrek universe then. Because that's
kind of, yeah.
It's a way to still like the fairy tales while still thumbing your nose at Disney. You know what? I haven't gotten around to Tulsi's book yet. That's definitely on my to watch eventually. Okay. She's hoards veteran, good books. Right? Hell, you write good books, Adega Outlaw. Yes, he does.
I'm trying to find books based on behind the scenes on cartoon shows from my childhood. Very interesting. Very interesting. If you have any good recommendations, let me know. Good book about Christians in Rome, the destroyer of the gods. There you go. Interesting. You know what? I'll have to make a note of that. That sounds like something to check out. And welcome. I'm going to butcher this one. I have Nordic. I get it. Very clever. Let me say it the right way. I have no dick. There you go. Reading the Tropic of Cancer, and I'm loving it. Good. I'm about to start The Chimp and the River by David Quammen. On the origins of AIDS. And sucking on a cherry Coke. Actually, it's funny you say that, Six, because my rum and Coke is actually rum and cherry Coke Zero.
There you go. Good stuff.
No. That's fine. That's fine. Sucking on, that's fine too. However, you need to consume your beverage. Sipping or sucking, I'll tell you, depending on what kind of a week you've had, could be sucking. Well, just get it down as quickly as possible. Bottle, right? I am not making a dirty joke. Stop looking at me that way.
All right. You didn't ask. At some point, you got to ask me what I'm reading. I'm just saying. Go get the.
I will, because you're going to have a whole thing to.
Not a presentation. I just have a image. But I have notes from the other article.
Adega is on Goodreads, which reminds me that I need to update. Yes, update it, because someone may want to update their Goodreads with the fact that they're reading an Adega Outlaw book. You never know. I have a family of... I almost read that as... I have a family of robots. I have a family of rabbits in my yard, watching over them, feeding the birds, not the squirrels. Well, good luck with that. If you're feeding the birds, you're feeding the squirrels. And I know that you are a gardener, so hopefully you're not feeding the rabbits.
It's like, I do give nuts to the squirrels, and I have bird seed specifically for the birds. But the bird seed has these little, like, sunflower seeds in them, but they're not sunflower seeds. They're smaller and black. Yeah. And the squirrels really seem to like them, but...
You know what, Nate? If there comes a day, I may have an opportunity to find out. Kind of hoping that day never comes. Not that I'm averse to eating squirrel or rabbit. Just saying I would hate to have to do so out of necessity.
And they don't get into the actual feeder. They only get what I happen to drop on the ground.
Because they're lazy. They know they don't have to.
Plus, they can't get into the bird feeder.
I do have a line of books waiting to be read after my current ones. John Adams by David McCall. Oh, I bought that book for Netter.
Yes, I love that book.
Because John Adams is her favorite president. The original Sherlock Holmes books. Yeah, I have a collection tome myself. Read the whole thing. Read every Sherlock Holmes story, but that includes the books. And
Dark said, "Is there a bad reads?"
I'm sure there are. And you're right. I just got to the comment about Disney sucks. I know that.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. They're about the half size of a sunflower seed, and the shell is black.
I misread this for a second. I thought he was calling me a commie.
Well, okay then.
I have no dick. I feel like Greg from that what is that from Honeywood? Like when it gets hacked and he has no control over what he says. I have no dick. I have no dick.
Well, it's not everything, right? Well, kind of is.
Exactly. Yes, Mark, defund Disney. You know what? They are doing a fine job of doing it themselves. It's slow, but they're definitely getting defunded. Right. Come to find out, did you hear Midnight? I can't remember now if it was Midnight's Edge or no, it might have been Valiant Renegade was just reporting. Apparently, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 did not get a profit. So apparently, literally every film that was released by Disney failed to break even. It's amazing. Disney princesses are aristocracy, therefore they're out. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yes. When it comes to comic books, I've been reading random ones I get from the budget YouTube auction. I love comics. All pre-90s Marvel and DC. Those are probably the best. Your super chats aren't working again, Troy. That's because I don't have super chats. I am about...
He's working.
Okay, well.
I'm about 200 or 300 watch hours away from getting monetized.
Where is it?
Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. Hope you're feeling well, my friends. Been reading Wheat Belly. That sounds like something about health and food, which is probably a good one to be reading.
Okay, if you want to... Wait a minute, where to go?
I'm sure there's plenty of conspiracy people here, Putin's cat. If you have a recommendation of a good book on conspiracy theories, I'd love to hear about it. Troy, I do have a collection of history books from generals, weapons, tanks, battles, warships, and aircraft. There you go. Right now, the comics I'm reading, Silver Age Green Lantern trade with Fantastic Four 257, Batman 495, and 500, and Wonder Woman Volume 2, Issue 104, on a watch list pile. There you go.
Okay, there you go. I fixed your super chat for you.
Oh. There we go.
Well, there you
message. Go. There you go. Thank you, Netter. Let's see. Everyone's saying hi to each other, too. I am getting caught up. I'm almost there.
Don't rush, because I've decided I'm going to put together a mini presentation. Okay.
Yeah, they can't get into the bird feeder. The pole is greased. Oh, gosh.
We'll have you talk about your books first. All right.
Fair enough.
And then, of course, there's Putin's cat.
All right. I'm going to look for here.
Just a little bit further down from where you're at.
Did it actually break even? Yeah, that's zero profit, though. That's zero profit. Valiant Renegade once put a Glock on the screen to tell us how tough he was. Well, and demonetized.
What?
Oh no, the guys in the gun tube area are having a really hard time, as you would expect. Welcome, Mr. Matchstick. In between books right now, just finished 50-hour audiobook last week called The Oriental History by William Durant. Covers the Middle East, India, China, and Japan. That I can understand why it's a 50-hour audio then. Yeah, that's
sounds interesting.
That's a pretty heavy-duty thing. So yeah. So obviously, I've got my for Christmas I got my whiskey book, my bourbon book, my bartender's guide. But what I'm actually reading on a regular basis is I got the novelizations of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Just kind of getting started. What's interesting is, and this brings me to something that I wanted to bring up. I mentioned this last week. I miss movies movie novelizations, right? I'm not talking about books that are made into movies. I'm talking about movies that are, that someone does a novelization for. They used to do that for everything. I have the novelizations of the first 3 Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones 2, and I loved them because, you could kind of relive the movie, but there's more story there. And in fact, the opening segment in the first Ghostbusters book is what was actually a deleted scene that I now have on the Blu-ray collection. I don't remember the characters' names, and it's too dark for me to read right now. But Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray play hobos on the streets of New York. Imagine that. Homeless in New York? Who would have thought such a thing? And they're talking about, what are they talking about? They're talking about books in the library because they're outside the library. And one of the bums says to the other one, those are dangerous. He says, what, books? He goes, ideas. They're the most dangerous thing there are. And I'm like, he's got a point. He's got a point. There is power in books because they contain ideas. And that's why you always hear about these totalitarian regimes doing book burnings, because they
still want to do that.
Ideas.
They want to do that today.
Well, that's why we have a First Amendment, right? To prevent the government from doing that.
Yes.
The government doesn't have a right to do that. It's up to you, the people, to band together and make sure that individual groups aren't doing that. The notes are going by pretty quick. I'm a bit miffed. I came off a channel that mistakenly brought up some history, but then they told me to stop talking about the real history. Oh, Putin's cat. With a name like Putin's cat, you're going to be bringing up some history, right? I had the novelization from the movie The Phantom. It's around here somewhere. Good. I need to finish reading The Swarm. Oh, yeah. I heard several months ago they're making a movie of it. Yeah, I read that a long time ago. I have his third one on my shelf, Caesar and Christ. Interesting. It came with a cool map of Trojan-era Rome and Italy. There you go. Samuel Proctor, if you're not already, make sure that you're subscribed to the Metatron. He's got a lot of videos you'd probably really, really enjoy. They're canceling some books here too. Yeah. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. That is true. Reading Dean Koontz from the corner of his eye. I love Dean Koontz, and I'll tell you what, you can keep Stephen King. He can, if he never writes another book, I don't care. Dean Koontz is where it's at for me.
He's one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, me too. Has anyone here, and please comment, has anyone here read the book Lightning by Dean Koontz? I would love to know.
I have.
I know you have. Gowron said to Picard, have you ever fought an idea?
I'll be right back.
It has no body to kill. That's absolutely true. That was the episode Rightful Heir. He was dealing with the fact that the second coming of Kalash had occurred. Well, you pronounce it human. I pronounce it Klingon. Kalash. Yeah. How do you fight an idea? I mean, that would be like the President of the United States trying to deal with the second coming of Christ.
Gowron did not like the Kalis clone.
Yeah, no, he didn't. But they came to an agreement. They came to an agreement, and it made sense. Trolls got a troll, absolutely. I've had trolls here on occasion, and I feel that I have such high respect for my chat that even the trolls are above average. Not many know the origin of my name, Putin's cat. Troy, just ask General Thompson, the guy who made Tommy from reading the failed patent on a machine gun. Oh, yeah. Brandon Herrera did a video about that. Been watching Metatron for years. Good. You are a noble one. Let's see. I think I might start back on reading The Exorcist. It's funny you mentioned that because that's not it. I just picked up, or Netter picked up for me.
What?
The 9th configuration. We will, of course, be doing, eventually I will get around to doing a double feature of the original Exorcist and the 9th configuration, which many believe to be the true Exorcist 2. And we'll discuss why that is when we do the rewatch. I hope booktubing with Troy and Netter becomes a regular thing. Can't promise it, but it's worth thinking about. You know who could convince us to do that would be deleted scenes, because I know that was a passion of his and something he wanted to get going. So maybe with his help, we can strike something up. I own the book, the books I read, so I have them in case they start banning them. That's what I said at the top of the show. It's the original physical media. You can kill an idea if you discredit it. Really? Then why are people still trying to make communism a thing? You'll never convince anyone of anything. There's no such thing as discrediting an idea because people are dumb.
Whoa!
I'm reading The Shack by William Paul Young and continuing education articles for my other job. That makes sense. Troy, the last novel I read was Dragon Teeth by the late Michael Crichton. Yeah. Absolutely. Michael Crichton, if you've seen the movie, don't let this put you off it. Read the book Timeline by Michael Crichton. I took a bunch of friends to see that movie because I had read the book and I was so excited, and the movie was terrible. I was like, I felt like Michael Crichton had done for time travel what he had done for, dinosaurs and genetics.
Why don't they
stuff.
redo that instead of another Jurassic Park movie and do it right?
I know, right? Well, because there's no franchise in it. You can't sell toys related to it. You can't probably get a
Aren't
sequel
there medieval
out of
knights
it.
in it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. It's France, right? Was that right? Did the movie get that right? Was it medieval France?
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
I can't remember which side of the channel it was on. Either way, language was a barrier. So everyone that was going back in time had to very quickly brush up on it. And one of the guys was a linguist, and he's listening to this audio tape of someone, saying certain words. He's going, "That's brilliant pronunciation. But how do you know that this is how they pronounced it?" He says, "We've already had people there." He's like, "Oh," and you start geeking out when you start looking at it from the point of view of these academics. If you're a linguist who studies ancient languages, and then you're given an opportunity to go back in time to that time to hear how it was pronounced, I don't think enough people realize. People talk about dead languages, but languages usually are not dead. We have ways of figuring out how languages that have not been spoken in our lifetime were pronounced, usually by looking at especially things like songs and poems and stuff where there's rhymes. You figure, okay, well, we know how this word was pronounced, therefore this word had to rhyme with it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there was that the English father and son who was really into doing plays and talking about,
right,
this is how this word would have,
how Elizabethan English was pronounced.
Yeah, this is how it would have been pronounced. It doesn't look anything like it is today.
Most people, when they perform Shakespeare, will, even if they don't change any of the words, they will change the pronunciation so that people understand them. But it is almost like a completely different language. You don't sell toys anymore anyway, at least not to children. mostly to crazy old men, like most of the people in this chat, including the host. Absolutely. No, I disagree with that, Sir Torrin. Children will still buy and play with toys. The problem is that none of the franchises are of any interest to the kids. Those early Marvel films, the toys sold like crazy.
Hey, kids like those a lot. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they stopped selling when people stopped going to the movies because the movies started to suck. There is a direct relationship there. Michael Crichton wrote a lot of books that ended up as movies. Yeah, they did, and none of them do. That's kind of the point of our topic tonight, is that there have been a lot of movies that have been translated into film or some other medium, but you're better off almost always reading the books. There's very few times, but there has occasionally been times where I could look at a movie, especially like miniseries and whatever, and gone, this might actually be a little bit better than the book. An author I've been reading a ton is Brandon Sarandon. He mostly does huge epic fantasy books. His characters, worlds, and magic are always so satisfying to read. I'll tell you, the thing about magic in a fantasy setting, plan out your rules and stick to them. Imagine that, having some sort of continuity in your books.
You mean like Doctor Who used to have?
Like most of our franchises used to have. People, when they come inside my house, ask why why you have so many books. What are they for? Thinking it's a trick question, I simply answer saying for reading. They always seem to be shocked. Yeah. And even after you've read it, like you said, so that you still have it, in case you want to go back to it. And comics swap the characters too, like Ironheart for 20. Yeah, absolutely. As much as I adore the Jurassic Park movie, the book is better. Yeah, those first two books actually are better, in my opinion, than the first two movies, and those are the best movies. And hey, Sashi, good to see ya. Terry Goodkind is a good fantasy too.
Wheel of Time, is that right? Or am I thinking of something else? Is he Shannara?
I don't know.
Sword of Shannara? I'm trying to remember. Okay.
So let's get this up there, and
these are just books I've read throughout my life that stand out, and I put this together in the last 10 minutes. So let's see how it works. Okay.
There you go,
I went in reverse order from books I'm reading now to books I read as a child. So. Not going to be a ton of stuff, but it's a simple presentation. But here we go. The Big Book of Adventure Stories.
Are these like reprints of pulp stories?
Yes, but also famous stories. Like, there's all sorts of things. This is what I've been reading lately, because I'm going to be doing a thing on adventure writing for the library, so I figured I'd get caught up on all these adventure stories. I love this cover. The sailor down there...
Here we go. Sorry, but to answer your question, Jerry Goodkind
Robert Jordan, yes, I get those confused sometimes. Sorry. I think the sailor down there has a high-quality problem.
Yeah.
And then you have the guy
Death by Snoo-Stew. I mean, why not?
And then you have the guy up top, and what are those? Are those leopards or jaguars or whatever? They're jaguar. I don't know. I'm not. What big cats are about to attack him underneath a totem? Panthers. That's what those are. Those are panthers. Okay. And it looks like they're about to attack him underneath that totem. Now, what more do you need in a cover, right?
It gets you to read it, right? It's just like so many of the thumbnails I see on YouTube videos. It's like, you know what? There may not be any scantily clad women in the actual story, but you got it on the cover. And Jesse says, you do know that Michael Crichton had a lot of problems with his publisher when it came to the first draft of Jurassic Park because he wanted a horror book and not a kid's book. Yeah, that kind of sucks. And I also understand why so many authors now are, just like so many movie makers are choosing to go independent. A lot of authors are looking to self-publish because you got these editors and publishers that they're thinking from a marketing standpoint, and they're not interested in what you want to make. But The fact is, but that's also the other story on Michael Crichton is he never wanted there to be a sequel to Jurassic Park at all. The only reason he wrote the second book was because he knew they were going to be doing a movie, and he's like, well, I may as well cash in. They're going to do it anyway. So,
but I like the comments coming up about the cover.
The sailor,
yeah,
right
that's a great
that,
cover. Yeah. The sailor is eaten right after that. I don't know. It might be worth it if I think something else is going to happen. Okay, anyway. What was I going to say? Let me talk to you a little bit about this book before we move on. Okay, read that, and then we'll get to the book. I just want to tell you a little bit about this one, then we'll move on. All right. Languages aren't really dead, just those who spoke them are. Yeah, I guess that
true.
makes a point.
I also wrote some of Karen Travis books.
So I've been reading. There are a lot of authors in this book. This is like a who's who of adventure writing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had. I read The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. That's in here. I read. What was it? I read a depressing Jack London story. That's in here. And the neat thing, before you get to each story, there's a little preface as to the author's life and what he did.
Right.
Apparently, Jack London died at age 41 he self-deleted, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And apparently he was a raging alcoholic, but at one point he was making a lot of money on his writing. He got paid like...
You know what? So did Hemingway.
Yeah. It's nuts. I think Call of the Wild was like one of the most popular books of its time when it came out.
Yep.
I remember Jack London was on that episode of Star Trek, remember?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking to Mark Twain. But I had a crush on Jack London in high school. Okay. Yeah. Are you talking about the actor who played him on Star Trek or the actual writer? Maybe the actual writer.
Could be either way, yeah.
But yeah, no, this is a big mammoth volume. Otto Penzler puts these out. And
are they abridged or are they unabridged?
No, they're not abridged, but the text is kind of tiny. What I do with some with these, because I didn't have a lot of time to really read while I was doing schoolwork, I got the audio book on Audible, and it's like 70 hours long, or like 50 hours long, and it's just chock full of all these stories. So I was just listening to them on the way to and from work, and there are some wonderful, wonderful stories in here. I did a Clark Ashton Smith story about a guy that gets infected by a plant while exploring some ruins, and the plant basically eats him from the inside out and takes over his body. I think I'm on the part of the book where the adventure stories don't go well for the adventurers, but it's a ton of stuff, ton of good fiction in there. I'm hoping to get through it, but they of course had a Conan story in here as well, but we'll get to Conan later, but by Robert E. Howard. But good little by the book cover, reads really booby books. I don't know. Well, legs aren't so bad. Anyway, I'm not going to spend
if it wasn't reviewed in Playboy magazine, maybe it's not worth reading.
Maybe. I did read. This is the book I read prior to Big Book Adventure Stories. This is the original from Russia.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I'm not going to get too much into the Fleming books tonight because I know I'm going to save that for our Bond talk. But this was an excellent book. This had like an ending where I was screaming. I'm like, okay, when's the next chapter? Oh no, this is where he ended it. Bond is not in a good spot. Let me just put it to you that way at the end of this book. This is a terrifying read. This is the SMERSH, the evil evil anti-spy ring in the Soviet Union. They're saying we're going to take out a hero of the English spy agencies, and they pick Bond, and they set a trap for Bond. And it's very calculating. I don't want to. And the first part of the book is just from the villain's perspectives, or from the Soviet perspective, before it even gets to Bond. Like the first third is just all the villains. It's a fascinating read. This was John F. Kennedy's favorite book. Did you know that? Yeah, it's okay. Hey, you don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe you're not kidding.
Legs are nice
too. Anyways, I'll keep my mouth shut anyway. Anyway, but what was I going to say? But yeah, no, that was that's how you got men to buy those adventure magazines back then.
Yep.
You want adventure, you want beautiful women and horrible beasts and guns and whatnot. But there's From Russia with Love, excellent book. Better than the one that came prior to it, which was Diamonds Are Forever. I'll rant about that on the Bond stream.
Okay,
that's like my favorite worst Bond movie, and the book was worse, and I thought that was shocked because I thought, oh, they screwed up. No. I didn't like the book either, but we'll get to
There
that
you
later.
go.
This I read in recent years. Davis Grubb, The Night of the Hunter. Ever hear of this book or maybe
I
the
don't
movie?
think so, no.
Never heard of the movie?
No.
Okay, this is a great little Southern Gothic thriller novel written in the 1950s. This features one of the greatest villains in American fiction, a man posing as a preacher who's really a psychopath. But it's a perfect guise because he can just spout. And I don't know if he thinks maybe on some level he is doing God's work, but he tends to marry women and then murder them off. And there are these kids, and they know where the money their dad stole from the bank is. And it's an excellent read.
I'm not drinking fast enough. That's the problem. I'm feeling
film.
I'm feeling a little softer on the edges. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Book is great too. I do recommend the book to read. It's a pity. This is another sad thing about writers, though, because he wrote Night of the Hunter. This book survives because of the movie, because the movie is a very well-renowned movie. But I'd love to pick up his short stories, but they're not currently in print. Apparently, a lot of his short stories were used for, like, I think Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes and maybe even Twilight Zone. I'm not sure. But it's a pity that this is the only thing of his still in print is Night of the Hunter. Clockwork Orange. Have you read
Trying
this?
to get me drunk here, Lady Miss? That's fair. Oh, Clockwork Orange. Yeah, I've never read the book.
That's I don't want to say it's a challenging read, but it's all spoken in this futuristic slang, like it was in the movie. Remember the movie, all the future slang? And this does have the portion of the book that included almost an idea that maybe the main character gets reformed at the end a little bit, like he says. Well, because I think his conditioning breaks at the end, but then he decides, well, actually, I'm spoiling the book. Never mind. Let me not talk about this.
You know, you're right, Samuel. That is one way to find. But the problem is that when a book goes out of print, the list value shoots through the roof. People will sell these things on. They'll list them for like $150, and it's like, I can't afford that.
There's a wonderful book that came out a few years ago called Paperbacks from Hell. I don't know if you've heard of this book. It was written by a guy that writes horror novels now, Grady Hendrix, right? He wrote the paperbacks and it's all these horrific paperbacks from the 1970s and 80s, and apparently, I kind of think how we have all these B-horror movies on TV, there were B-horror novels as well, which I think we've all forgotten about. Some of them are still in print. They get better covers now, but this was big, and this book is filled with all of these paperbacks from hell.
Well,
and then I go looking on eBay for some of these books, and they've skyrocketed in value. These crusty paperbacks go for a lot of money. He did start a line where he's reprinting them as newer paperbacks now. Some of them from the book are now getting reprinted, but it was really hard to find.
People forget that the concept of pulp fiction, those were the like what B films are today. That's what the B books were, and they were literally published on pulp paper. And sometimes you will find books in bookstores and libraries where it's printed on pulp paper, and that paper is so brittle you can't even turn the page. You could just crumble. It just crumbles in your hand.
That acidic paper. It falls apart. And some books are printed on really good paper. In fact, what was funny about the reprints of those paperbacks from hell reprints is that they're the same size of those old paperbacks, but they're printed on so much nicer paper. It's like the clean white paper, which I thought probably why they charge more money for them than you would have. Because keep in mind, these things were something you'd buy at
This is what I'm talking about.
For a couple bucks at a grocery line or something.
This is what I'm talking about. What Darth Plato is saying. He was looking for a book and it was listed at $1,000.
Horrible.
Look, unless we're talking like, something that was an original print by Leonardo da Vinci or something like that. Don't even come at me with four plus figures for a book.
Ridiculous.
Right? There is and here's another thing. When it goes out of print, especially if it's out of copyright, that needs to be out there somewhere on Gutenberg or something like that.
Or even e-readers. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
they made a point of all these e-readers. You know, it doesn't cost anything to put something on the store, does it? But maybe it does. I'd love to get a copy of Ray Bradbury of the Foghorn.
Now, here's the problem. So Ray Bradbury books are probably not in the public domain yet. But I still feel like if there's a publisher who owns the rights to those and it's not in print, F you. Put the damn thing out, or I'm going to start making friggin' photocopies of a book and giving it out to my friends.
There we go. Slaughterhouse-5. Love this one.
Oh, yeah.
Giant list of books. These books are in town. Whenever one of them comes in, she texts me. I picked up tons of books. I've been looking for that way. Hey, that's a good idea. Get your books how you can get them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Kurt Vonnegut, remember Slaughterhouse-5?
I do.
This was a good one. I read this one like about 10 years ago, I think. That was an excellent read. Good sense of humor he has. There are aliens in this book, too, and also World War II stuff.
Yep.
If you can believe both of those can exist in the same book, okay?
I mean, Turtle Dove based his whole career on it.
That's true, yes. Big favorite of mine.
That's not a recommendation on my part, by the way.
Galactic Patrol, E. Doc Smith, probably my favorite science fiction writer. This is the first book written in the Lensman Chronicles, so I recommend this. About kind of an intergalactic police force, and they're going up against this group of very sophisticated space pirates, and then you realize, well, these aren't really pirates, are they? They're more organized, and there's something more sinister controlling them. But it's an excellent book. I don't know if this is the first book that did this, but I think E. Doc Smith and other writers at the time, they were the ones first introduced that maybe aliens and humans could work together as opposed to us attacking the aliens, right? That was, seen in later science fiction. But I meant hardcover, not hard copy. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
iRobot. You've read this?
Oh, I love the Asimov robot novels.
Yes.
Yep. All
Big
of
fan
them.
of this.
All of them. And yes, again, you really should read the books before, thinking you... Because honestly, that book that was called iRobot was really based on a book called Caliban.
Really?
Yeah. It was Caliban. If you look it up, it says Asimov, but it was like one of those ones that it just has his name on it, and it was actually written by another author. But it's related to iRobot. I don't remember if you... It's been so long, I can't remember, and I'm also kind of getting a little fuzzy here, so I can't remember the details. I can't remember if it was like a sequel. I know that a lot of the robot novels had characters that crossed over, so not sure. But yes, Boomer, if you saw that Will Smith movie, which is not a bad movie.
It's not bad, but it wasn't. It didn't follow the books, and I thought at the time.
But that's why you need to read the book Caliban, and trust me, you will love that book if you read it.
I thought they could have just, because this always struck me as a series of stories about robots, all centered around the same lady scientist, and I thought maybe the Will Smith movie could have been considered just another story.
I hadn't thought of that perspective.
The trouble is, though, they did cast an actress as the lady scientist in that movie, and she's much younger in the movie than she is in the book, so that's why it didn't work.
Right. So yes, the book is, but it is more closely related to the book Caliban. And which it's funny because the name of the robot that is self-aware without with the modified three laws is named Caliban, from the book, but I don't remember what they called him in the movie. They didn't call him Caliban, so most people don't make that connection. But I love that book so much, that's why I saw it. I'm like, oh, this is Caliban. This isn't iRobot. They're using the more well-known novel, but it's not that story there. Yeah. Check out Caliban. It's worth it. If you look it up, Caliban by Asimov, you'll find it, even though I don't think Asimov really wrote it at all.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll look for Caliban. All right. The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Oh, what's Corville Nation saying?
I love that. Troy doesn't work his ass off. He works his Asimov.
I really like Isaac Asimov. I have I think all the Asimov books.
All the collections of stories, absolutely. Including Asimov was the one that wrote Bicentennial Man, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Those anime fans out there too, you owe it to yourself to read some Asimov, because a lot of the rules for robotics, the Japanese animators also use those same rules on a lot of their robots.
I find it amazing that Asimov came up with the concept of the 3 laws of robotics, and now as we're getting into generative AI, fuck the rules. Who gives a crap? Okay, great. When they wipe us out, fuck you.
We have a bunch of people in Silicon Valley that are acting like Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, exactly.
Zuckerberg.
And it's funny you mention Frankenstein, because Asimov, and I don't know the exact quote, I'm paraphrasing. He said that when he came up with the 3 laws of robotics, he said there were 3 kinds of robot stories out there. There was the robot as monster, which was basically like Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
And there was the god out of the machine, where the robot was, the superior, take care of everything, or wipe everything out. And he said there is an interesting story that's somewhere in between. And if you use the 3 laws of robotics, you can get some very, very interesting stories.
But, you only ever hear 3 laws when a robot isn't following. That's true.
Yeah.
In the anime,
well, it's interesting because did you know that in the, I think it was in Encounter at Farpoint, the original Star Trek The Next Generation pilot episode, Data claims to operate under the 3 laws of robotics. And he has a positronic brain.
But yeah.
And Orville is enjoying all the.
Thank you. These I just found randomly in line, but these are some of these are from actual editions I read. Some of them I just because they look neat. But this one I had. I don't know if I still do. This was the War of the Worlds Edward Gorey edition, published in the 50s, and this has been reprinted since then. You might still be able to get it new too. This is the War of the Worlds with illustrated by Edward Gorey, of course. H.G. Wells. Loved this book when I read it. This actually
Hold on a second. Putin's cat is saying Data could kill. Very interesting that you say that, because the one time that is tested is in The Most Toys. And one can argue whether or not he intended to kill Kiefer Fajo. Could he kill when it was necessary? Actually, I think he has that conversation with Picard at one point, too. Still surprised that this book has a real-world body count, mainly due to the radio broadcast. Okay, Jesse, I'm going to dispel a myth. This whole story about War of the Worlds, mostly an urban legend. Nobody freaked out. Nobody panicked. Nobody got killed because of War of the Worlds. I'm sorry. It's just not true. It's a legend. It's
Heard people were having heart attacks, thinking the world was coming to them. The Martians in their backyard. No.
Most people looked out their window, didn't see anything, called the police station and said, "Is there really something going on?" And the police were all like, "We don't know what you're talking about," And of course, there was also the fact that it was announced that this story was coming up. So most people knew that it was just a regular radio show. So it's not, it's more marketing by Orson Welles than anything else. It's right up there. I mean, actually, this whole thing about the War of the Worlds and everyone believing it and panicking and people dying and stuff like that, that's right up there with people who believe that the Blair Witch was real, or that people really lined up during the stock market crash of the 20s to jump out, or the 30s or whatever it was, to jump out of windows and stuff like that.
Flying all over the place.
It wasn't true. It just wasn't true. I try to get the oldest affordable editions of the physical books. Ever since I got into the 4K 77 Star Wars cut, Oh, yeah. It's been I've been obsessed with consuming stories the way the original audience did. Yeah. Before things get edited and stuff like that. It's true. Oh, PJ, that is not only is that a great idea. Screw it. I am going to talk to Tom Conkle about that and tell him, because he's got a whole troupe of actors, of voice actors, that do stuff like that online. That would be the way to go. Yeah. I'll reach out to Tom Conkle. That would be great.
Especially, who's the main actor in
Orson Welles?
No. The main actor in the movie he's going to be doing.
Well, we don't know for sure. He hasn't actually been cast yet.
No, the one has the elder actor.
Oh, yeah.
He would be great in that.
Yeah, I was going to say though that there's a lot of things, both voice and appearance, of Tom Conkle remind me of a young Orson Welles. So I like that, Pootie. Some movies reference War of the Worlds as a real invasion that was put down. I like that concept. That is brilliant.
That was in Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
That's if you're not paying attention, you miss. It's just a little line drop.
Yep.
Following chat on. Oh, okay. JPRPH1 got his Apple TV box on Rumble. But I'm following chat on YouTube.
Yeah, that's good.
Longer delay on Rumble. That's interesting feedback. Did not realize that. And of course, that comment is coming over from Rumble. So, oops, I just jumped. I knew people who walked out of the theater thinking Blair Witch was real. They were really freaked out. Well, to be fair, what was the movie? I think we talked about this when I did the rewatch of Eddie and the Cruisers.
Yeah.
That for a couple of weeks, I really believed that Eddie and the Cruisers was based on a true story. Yeah.
That's a good name for a band, you have to admit.
Oh, yeah, Mark, there's no doubt. If the aliens are monitoring us, they're going... we came here thinking these guys might be dangerous to us. They're going to wipe themselves out. We don't have to worry about them.
Wasn't that the plot?
Was everything a lie? Just, what, deleted scene? If you want to be happy in life, just assume it's all a lie. And then just be pleasantly surprised if you find out something
I would argue
isn't.
assume everything's true.
No, you will always be disappointed. Right? The pessimist is rarely disappointed and occasionally pleasantly surprised. The optimist is almost always
right.
What is it? The optimist says the glass is half full, the pessimist says it's half empty, and the engineer says it's at 50% capacity.
Oh, that's funny.
My mother and father, God rest their souls, testified to the fact that, yes, some people thought it was real, my parents among them, and Orson Welles. Yeah, but they didn't shoot anybody or, nobody died, right?
I think people sensationalized it, but yeah, there probably were people that thought it was real. I heard the problem with what
there's a difference between thinking it might be real and then paying... Look, let's face it, it's just like when you're paying attention to the news and you're like, well, that's something that's happening in California. What do I give a fuck? Boy, I'm interested. Let me watch.
Remember the deepfake video a few months ago of Trump running away and they were coming to arrest him, and that was a fake video? Remember that? The people were thinking that was real.
Yeah. Oh, there's still... Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. I guess the more things, change, the more they stay the same and whatnot. Even in the modern day, it's so easy to convince people of bullshit, and they'll never believe otherwise. I'd say 80% of people at this point have completely changed their opinion about lockdowns and masks and jabs and stuff. But there's still a good percentage of people that are like, oh, it saved our lives. Okay, fine. You take more jabs until you have a stroke. Keep going. Don't stop. Yeah, absolutely. All right, take care, Matanui. Thanks for hanging out with us. Vernon Wells, thank you. That's the name that Netter was trying to think of. Do you know, Troy? Alan is working with Tom now. I did not know that. Did not know that. Let's see. And my mother didn't want to watch anything involving Orson Welles because of War of the Worlds. Terrified her. So he did a pretty good job, huh? I think you can do it, considering that a lot of cartoons did their own version of War of the Worlds, like Flintstone, Hey Arnold, and Futurama did parody versions. Absolutely. Speaking of which, and as long as you still have, you got to back up, because I was just about to say something about War of the Worlds.
There you go, War of the Worlds. Okay.
There is a book trilogy, and I don't know the author. Maybe someone can let me know. The Tripod trilogy.
Tripods, yes. I've been curious about reading that, because it's as if the aliens succeed in their invasion, which was actually H.G. Wells' original ending. All the stuff about the artilleryman talks about, how people living underground. That was how he wanted to end the book, but I think the publisher fought back on it. So
yeah, the Tripods was a trilogy, and I don't know who the author was, and I haven't even read it. I saw the first two. The whole series of books was turned into 3 seasons of a BBC series called The Tripods that we got here on PBS after Doctor Who. So depends. It was Doctor Who. It was also Blake 7. So sometimes
Tripods,
and they'd intersperse them. And I got to see the first 2 seasons, and they never picked up the third season. So I'm like, here it is 40 years later, and it's still on my, I got to read those books, you know. Hell, these days it's probably, the audiobooks are probably here on YouTube somewhere. I walked out of Blair Witch Project because I thought it was boring and annoying, and I didn't finish the movie. You know, maybe when we get around to the Halloween season, I might
do a Blair Witch rewatch.
I might do a rewatch of Blair Witch 2, and whatnot.
I agree. It was a boring ass movie.
I'm with you. I understand, but obviously, when I do a rewatch, I'm going to be talking over it and
I've heard some people claim it's the greatest attempt to.
I am going to talk about
So you're going to make it interesting?
I hope to. I'm going to talk about the viral marketing and so forth
that
I think really made it what it was. It was the dawn of analog horror. Yeah. We'll talk about that too. Save that for October. Flintstones did a good War of the Worlds spoof. Band called The Way Out. Yeah, I remember that. Way Out. I think the way Ender's Games aliens assumed we were annoying wildlife instead of intelligent. You know, they're not wrong. That's not wrong. And Connie loves this book. John Big Boutte and others have SS cards dated November 1st, 1938. Yeah. Never underestimate the power of a large group of stupid people. That's very, very true. Alan is working with them thanks to you and Netter in part. Yeah, that's right. We did put them together. Good. Together we grow. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I've been asking for data from anti-vaxxers to back up their conspiracy theories, and no one has ever been able to back it up. I would be happy to share that information with you, Six. I would say that what you have to do is stop looking at the CDC and the U.S. government. Start looking at other countries. They're not held up by obligations to Pfizer and the other American pharmaceutical companies.
But they could be talking about older vaccines too.
Oh, I could not speak to that at all. Yeah. I'm only speaking about the so-called
recent, yes,
the recent COVID experimental gene therapy that is neither a vaccine nor does it prevent transmission.
Anyway.
And that has been admitted by Pfizer at this point. That's not even in question anymore. I'm not talking about any other vaccines. I don't know anything about, previous vaccines.
Stuff like that, I guess, yeah. What was it, though?
Speaking of Orson Welles, what was his last theatrical performance?
I want to say, I think I know. I think it's Transformers, the animated movie, correct? The Transformers movie.
Oh, right. I think I do remember that.
I think he made some comment. I made a movie about toys hurting each other. I think he's what he said.
Deleted scenes. Remind me when we get closer to October. I'll pull you in on that.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up hiking with Scout Camp, some of the stuff in Blair Witch is, that's an interesting perspective, Samuel, because that's kind of what I thought too as I was watching it. Right?
Well, would you rather be stuck in the woods with the Blair Witch or a bear? I'm sorry.
There's a lot of depends on that, right? Because I told you the story about how I ran into a bear in the woods, right?
No way. Dude, tell me the story.
Okay, so I was out with the scouts. We were camping in tents and whatnot. And we were literally on the top of a hill that if we had put the problem is it was a Friday night when we got there and it was very late, so we were putting up our tents, in the dark. Yes. If we had put our tents up any closer to that hill, it's very possible we could have rolled off that hill into the river, which wouldn't have been a big deal. It would have just been very, very annoying. But anyway, we were at the top of this hill, got up in the morning, and I had to pee something terrible, and I'm like, I'm going to go down to the river. I think that's how I'm going to do this. I go down to the river. I get down to the river, and on the other side of the river, and this is not like a big, it's a creek is what it really is. It's not really a river. It's a creek. I could walk across it. On the other side of the creek is a bear. I mean, a big, full-on, I'm assuming it was a grizzly, black bear.
Goodness.
And it was huge. And it was one of those things where because I was blurry-eyed, I was at the river by the time I saw it. It looks up at me. I look up at it. I forgot everything that I knew about how to deal with a circumstance like that. And I went, ah! The bear went, roar! And I had no idea what happened after that because I took off up that hill. I did not think I could get up a hill so quick. All the other scouts come out, and the scout leader comes out of their tent, and they're laughing their asses off. I'm like, what are you laughing at? The scout leader says, Troy, he says, you didn't see it because you were running up the hill. You scared the shit out of that bear. It went running in the other direction like his tail was on fire. I'm like, well, that made two of us, damn it.
That was anyway, though.
And he used it as a teaching moment. He goes, that's not how you're supposed to deal with that circumstance. But in this case, it worked.
Yeah. But that was like a scene from Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, where Snoopy answers the door.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I had never thought about that.
Anyway.
If it's a vaccine, then explain to me why it's never been taken off emergency use authorization. Emergency use authorization means it's experimental. It's not been tested, and they can't make the claim that it is a vaccine. They literally changed, the CDC literally changed the definition of vaccine for this purpose. And there's still cases pending up to the Supreme Court right now about this. It was the voice of Unicron in Transformers. I was thinking that it was Optimus Prime, but yes, that's probably true. You guys know Transformers way better than I would. I wouldn't trust pharmaceutical companies any more than I can throw them. That being said, I am in favor of medicine that has been around for a while. Yeah, look, this is something that my mother told me when I said I had wanted to go into medical research. She's like, you got to be careful. You don't test on, and I'm like, look, there's rules. You don't test on yourself. This isn't like a B horror film. I'm not going to be, but yeah, there's rules for what you have to do to be able to make certain claims, and if it's still experimental, I don't want to get off on a tangent.
We're talking about books here.
Exactly.
Yes.
Michael Knowles has a miniseries documentary on the history of. Oh yeah, Fauci. Yeah, the look up the book, the real Fauci. Those of us who lived through the '80s remember him in charge of the AIDS epidemic, and it's very interesting that people are saying that COVID now is having a very AIDS-like effect on people. I wonder why. Just it makes you think. Okay, guys.
Let's see. We move on
Okay, now I know you're trolling us, Six. Yeah. Ivermectin is a well-established medication for humans. Okay? You're believing the internet bullshit. All right?
Oh, did I get lost?
Yep. Off his rant. He kind of dropped out. I
don't think they can hear you either.
No, I just unmuted me.
Oh, I see.
Can you hear me, right, Boomer? Okay, there we go.
Okay, you're back.
Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, no, it's ivermectin is yeah.
Okay.
You made sure.
I mean that's like calling it a horse dewormer and you shouldn't be taking it because you're a human. That's like what? That's like saying water is a horse lubricant and humans shouldn't be drinking it.
She said, or Six said, I never said it wasn't for humans.
Okay, all right.
Boone's cat said she booted him.
Yeah, she booted me from my own stream.
Anyway, let's move on to the next book.
Oh, very good. Very good. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, The Weird Tales of Conan the Barbarian, Robert E. Howard. Obviously, there have been tons of different titles for Conan the Barbarian, but I did get into reading the Conan stories as well. Big fan of these. All right.
And am I correct that Conan is considered bad now by the modern feminists, right?
Because everything's considered bad now. Everything that was written by
male gaze authors, and toxic and all of that, right?
Yes, it's dead white males.
By the way, Andre from Midnight's Edge has a couple of great videos up about Conan. If you have any interest in Conan, get over to Midnight's Edge and check those videos out. They are definitely worth it.
All right. But big fan of the Conan stories and also Robert E. Howard in general. Actually, my favorite Robert E. Howard stories are the ones that took place in modern times, or at least his modern times. He kind of brought the fantasy of the past still existed in the modern world, which I thought was interesting in some forms. But
now, isn't it that like Hyperborea, his whole theory was that this was Earth in prehistory?
Okay,
like
here was the explanation for the Hyperborean age. Robert E. Howard wanted Conan to go have one story take place in an equivalent to India, another story might take place in Norwegian country. So he basically said that in this pre-age, before a great cataclysm, all these countries were kind of squashed together on one big continent. This way Conan gets to travel around all these different areas. And instead of Indians, I think you have Vendians as their name, but you can tell they're supposed to be the ancestors of the Indians, and same for Egyptians and other groups. Sumerian, I don't know exactly what Conan the Sumerian was. I always got the impression that he was an ancestor of like the Celts. That it was really supposed to be a Celtic race that existed before the Celts. Yeah. I could be wrong there, though, but that was my impression.
I love the idea of a purely fantasy setting, but I do think that he was going on the whole, like...
Lost civilization thing.
Yeah, and I mean, this has become a very big area of interest now for people that... and even, like, real anthropologists are saying, look... we can only trace history back as far as we have archaeological evidence of. Before a certain point, if people had writing or buildings or anything like that, they would have been lost. So if there was societies prior to, like, Ur, for example, we would have no way of knowing. And in fact, we've had some archaeological digs implying that history goes back farther than we thought, but, maybe there was a whole, advanced civilization that was wiped out before, modern humans started. Who knows? It's possible. I still can't tell the difference between Conan and He-Man.
The action figures were really supposed to be Conan action figures.
Exactly.
Right?
They originally wanted to do Conan action figures. I think Andres talked about this too. That the He-Man figures, they wanted to do Conan figures and couldn't get the rights. So they decided, kind of like how Lucas wanted to do Flash Gordon and couldn't, so he made his own thing. Imagine that. I can't do what I want to do, so I'm just going to make my own thing. I wish more people would start doing that again. But yeah, that's how we got He-Man. In fact, there is a figure, and I've seen videos on YouTube that have said contradictory things, so I don't know what the actual truth is. But there was a figure that is colloquially and in the modern day called Wondar. It was a figure that was released that was basically using the He-Man sculpt, but it had different colors and different accoutrement with it. And a lot of people think that it was based on the original prototype for the Conan figure before they decided to do He-Man, and they made it into a giveaway of some kind. That's where the controversy comes up. Some say it had to do with Wonder Bread. Other people say it had to do with some other promotion that they were doing where they gave this figure out as a giveaway if you send in proof of purchase or something. I don't know what the actual history is because I was never a collector of those figures, so I never really followed it. Sorry, got a little away from you there.
But yeah, someone mentioned that Solomon Kane is their favorite Robert E. Howard character. I think that was I wanted to say that Bran MacMorn is mine. I did like.
All of you Robert E. Howard fans, definitely, if you're not already subscribed to Midnight's Edge, you need to be, because Andre talks about him a lot.
Yeah, it's like I said.
Well, when you cast the role with an Austrian, that's what happens, You know
what's interesting? Robert E. Howard's favorite type of writing to do was actually historical fiction, but he wrote the fantasy, the sword and sorcery for money. But yeah, I did read some of his stories set during the Crusades. They were always interesting.
Marvelous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power!" See, I did watch the shows. I was just not into the toys at all.
Look at this, though.
Gorilla Random Thoughts. Hopla! Welcome. Oh, The Hobbit, yeah.
You like this one?
How many of you were like me?
Remember that cover from the 70s? Remember that?
I do. I knew of Tolkien. I had seen the books. I knew a lot of friends who were really into it. The couple that took me to my first Renaissance fair with a buddy of mine from school, they were super into Tolkien. The husband sang some song from Tolkien that made his wife cry. And I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was the Rankin and Bass and the Ralph Bakshi cartoons. But how many of you guys were like me that after the movies came out, you were like, yeah, maybe I better read these damn books. And I just read them, boom, straight through. I got the 3-pack, and read them straight through.
I was different. I was in, that was senior year of high school, where I think I read to read The Hobbit for a book report. And I loved it so much, I had to read the other books.
If you're still here, PJ, I am frickin' drunk right now.
Unfortunately,
you may not be able to tell, but I'm plastered.
Unfortunately, the teacher would not let me read the other three. The Lord of the Rings trilogy from my other 3 book reports. I had to read different authors. But
hold on, this is actually a great idea, Netter.
Yeah.
How about some bookshelf tour videos? I'd love to see your collection.
Oh, that's interesting. You could do that on your channel, Netter.
Yeah, I mean, I do have them separated out by genre.
Take them, one genre at a time.
Well, one whole bookcase, just cookbooks.
I think there's content. The 6 has a great idea, so
maybe I'll do that. Yeah.
I mean, Troy has an entire VHS collection of the original recordings of the Merv Griffin show.
It's funny you say that. I don't even know if such a thing exists. I wouldn't be.
No,
surprised.
you can catch some of those old episodes on YouTube. There was one that had he had Charo, Orson Welles, and that British actor I keep forgetting the name of, Curse of the Werewolf.
Hobbitses, sneaking, lying hobbitses.
That's good. That's pretty good.
That's the first time I ever tried to do that. I guess it helps that I'm drunk.
Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second.
I actually read The Hobbit.
Okay, 6, if you are interested, reach out to me, DM me on Twitter. Give me me a place where I can send to you. I'd be happy to do this for you. I have a DVD of the fan edit of the Hobbit movies that make it into the Hobbit. It's one movie that is just the story of the Hobbit. It takes out all the extra bullshit.
Now, I got interested in the Hobbit when I was a wee child. My brother, who's 10 years older than me, or was 10
She's
years
now
older
a
than me.
wee adult, by the way.
Yes, I'm a wee adult now. But when I was a wee child, a wee lass, my brother had read The Hobbit and all those. And I had asked him what he was reading, because he had just finished The Hobbit at this point. And he goes, oh, this book is called The Hobbit. It's by J.R. Tolkien, and he tells me the story of The Hobbit. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. Can I read it? And he just looked at me and laughed, because at the time I think I just turned 4. And he goes, sure, kid. Puts the book back on the bookcase, walks away, doesn't think anything of it. A couple hours later, my mom sees me sitting on the floor in front of the bookcase with the book open. She goes, oh, that's so cute. You're pretending to read. I'm like, no, Mom, I'm reading. She goes, oh, honey, you're not. You just turned 4. You don't know how to read yet. And I started reading from the book. And she's like, you're 4. How the heck are you reading? And that.
Okay, 6. I will get on Netter to do this, and once she gets the video up, I'll make sure that she reaches out and lets you know that it's up there.
But Rankin Bass, when they got on Cardoon, I got so confused about why the story went from the ring being used by Bilbo to Frodo. Yes, because they skipped over the other parts, and I don't know if they did that because the Ralph Bakshi movie covered part of that, and they weren't allowed to do that.
See, I for years did not realize that was Bakshi and not Rankin Bass. I thought it was all part of the same line.
No, it's so confusing the way they handled that whole thing.
Okay, 6. How can I reach out to you?
If he's on MeWe.
Yeah, no. Netter, can you drop my email for 6? Well, I mean, drop it for everybody. I mean, actually, you know what? My email is in my YouTube
content.
Yeah, whatever.
This book is about, and it should be in there.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. And if you send me an email, then I can contact you when Netter does the
okay,
thing.
I just dropped Troy's email in the.
Oh yeah, that does make it easier.
So when
Troy's one.
For me, hobbits were, well, look, hobbits and halflings were the same thing, and my first experience was when I went into high school and learned about Dungeons and Dragons.
The Rankin Bass.
Yeah, see, that's, you know what? That's another good point, Boomer. books like this, these classics, influence so many other aspects of pop culture.
Oh, sure.
The Tolkien and whatnot, and a lot of other areas of mythology, but Tolkien in particular, so influenced Dungeons and Dragons, and there's generations, 2-3 generations that were very influenced by Dungeons and Dragons. The whole concept of role-playing games is because of Dungeons and Dragons. You know? Do you disagree?
I do. No, it is. It's just it's.
You do. Wait a minute. You do or you don't?
I do agree.
Oh, okay.
For other things.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of something else. That's all.
Oh, okay. Fair.
But yeah, I did read Lord of the Rings in senior year because I just wanted to find out what happened next, and yeah. Oh, I'll get to Poe in a minute. He's on the list.
Murders in the Rue Morgue is my favorite.
Black Cat, mine, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
But I think I moved to Florida. I don't remember.
Oh, Netter's got a point. There.
The Telltale Heart.
That's a good one.
That was the first one they had us read in school. That's why it resonates with me.
Yeah. Usher was the big one they had us read in school. Oh, that was Usher. That was the one they had us read.
I haven't read that one yet. And I do have a collection of the works of Poe that I have not finished reading yet. It's in the same line as my what is it, Strand Magazine? Sherlock Holmes.
Here we have the novelization of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. That I read also.
There's a novelization of that?
A Batman.
Okay,
Mask of the
so let's step back for a second. I have a novelization of. There's 2 novelizations I have that are based on a series of comic books. One is Batman: No Man's Land. There was this whole series. I think it spanned the course of a year, where it was. You know the story, Escape from New York? This was Escape from Gotham City, basically. And Batman was nowhere to be seen. And, the Robins and Nightwing and Batgirl and whatnot were fighting against the factions, that were forming up in the underworld. It was very, very interesting stuff. But they made a novelization of that. It was a great way for me to kind of get caught up on the overall story. Right. They did the same thing with the death of I think it was called The Death and Rebirth of Superman or something like that. Took a year's worth of comics and distilled them into a novel. It was brilliant.
If you go hunting for it, there was a BBC series, The Death and Return of Superman. Did you know that?
No! Really?
Audio, yes. Because I got out from the library once. It's a complete audio, radio drama. And I have to give credit to whatever British actors they picked. They could do the American accents well if they were in fact British actors. And it was the whole Death and Return of Superman, and it was done as a radio program. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, but this is the novelization of Mask of the Phantasm, the animated Batman movie. There were some
hold on, let me go ahead and answer this question since I got it up and I can only focus on one thing at a time because I'm drunk.
Yes.
The next movies. Actually,
I do.
What did I say I was going to do?
It's going to be a double feature this Monday.
Do you remember what I know? I said what it was.
Look on your channel. Hold on.
No, I haven't put it up yet.
Well, heck, I don't know that.
Give me a second. It was. I actually don't remember, Pootie. If you got a suggestion, let me know. I thought I knew.
The Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach. No, I don't know.
I totally could, but no, that's
Witches.
not what
you
I
can do the Witches. Actually, that's another Roald Dahl story too. I'm thinking
of. No, if I'm going to do a Roald Dahl story, it's going to be BFG.
Okay, yeah, there's that too. They did my 6th grade classroom, had it on the bookshelf, and I ended up reading it. Yeah, but this is Mask of the Phantasm. Some differences from the movie in that when the one guy is paying off the Joker to kill Batman, the one mobster, you find out that the thing was filled with counterfeit money.
Pootie says he's upset he missed out on Bo Derek a couple of weeks ago. You know what you do? Go check out the movie 10. You can kind of skip over Bolero. Bolero's not that good.
You're gonna do those. You're gonna do the Mata Hari movie at some point, though, right? The Sully Christie.
I'm trying to. I know I must have seen Mata Hari. No. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a Playboy spread that came out as part of the right. Yeah, my dad subscribed to Playboy, so I got to see a lot of things that a high school boy should not have been seeing.
Okay.
Just a lot of boobs, really.
True.
Anyway, I'm just saying they did a novelization, and the day I test. Oh yeah, that's a good one. The Master Phantasm soundtrack. I had that on audio tape back in the 90s.
French Connection.
I bought the tape. I eventually got the CD off eBay years later.
Okay, Pooty's making a lot of great suggestions for double features.
The double Romancing the Stone.
I'm gonna have to start taking notes. This is good stuff. It was a movie directed by yes, I know that. I think saying it's bad goes without saying. Was it also a canon film? Just wondering.
Anyway, let's move on. 1984. George Orwell.
I could do a twofer. I could do Mata Hari and Ghosts Can't Do It.
Okay. George Orwell. What? I don't. What?
That's another Bo Derek film.
George Orwell, 1984. You ever read this book?
I actually, you know what, Pooty? I could do A Fish Called Wanda and Big Fish.
Okay. Look.
Yeah, I know. We're fucking living it now, dude. Why should we read the book?
Anyway, well, the book.
Seriously, read 1984 and weep at how much it reflects the world today.
Well, I keep thinking, what was the one of the lines in the book? We've always been at war with Eurasia or some other, whatever the other nation was.
Yeah.
It's like when someone said there always been female custodians in Warhammer. No, it's like a 1984 comment. There weren't. We know there weren't. I had to read this one in high school. Great Gatsby. Remember this?
Not only do I remember that, that's the cover of my copy of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah,
Look,
I
read this because, it was required reading in high school, right?
Yep, I read it too.
Real quick, let me say goodnight. Whoop, I'm saying goodnight to the wrong person. Goodnight to Six. Love you, Netter. That's sweet of you.
Aw, hugs says.
Yes, I'm gonna pester her to do a what did you say, like a bookshelf type thing? Yeah, that's great content. That's a great idea. So yes, thank you, Mark. Freedom is slavery. Yes, 1984. Just rewatched the original. Still disturbing. Absolutely. But definitely read the book. The Great Gatsby. This was the commentary. I'm forgetting who the English teacher was that recommended or made this required reading and had us analyze it and stuff. And there was she had this whole thing about the green light across the bay, and it has to do with envy and this and that. And I'm like,
oh, stop.
And I'm like, in my limited high school way, what I basically said was, sometimes a banana is just a banana.
Yeah, sometimes a banana. I have to admit, I don't. This is something, even as someone who has taught. They do this with poetry all the time. This is a great way to make sure that your students never develop a love of poetry by trying to tack on this means this and only this. And no, just please don't. I'm sorry. I know that's what they do. I don't know. Did you like the book? Okay, that's. Did you not like the book?
I did.
Answer why.
I love
no,
that
but my
whole...
point is, the student, did you like the book? Did you not like it? Give me reasons why. It's okay not to like the readings, I would always say. Of course, I did a writing class, not a literature class, so I would say,
so
you don't have to like the fiction.
Yeah, this whole thing, right? The symbolism and this. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes English teachers want to push this their interpretation of something, and like, you know what? Death of the author. Let me figure it out for myself. I always think of the poem by Robert Frost, "The Road Not Taken." Right?
Here we go.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. That's another one.
was one that I had to memorize in high school, and I've only pulled it up because I'm, and I may not remember. So, real quick. So, Road 9 by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on the way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the road less traveled, and that has made all difference. So, I don't know about you, if you've read this poem before.
Yes.
Well, I'm talking to the chat. I know you have. I don't know if it was, recorded reading in your English class or literature class.
I know
but
what
I am guessing your teacher probably told you, how important it is to take the road less traveled. That makes all the difference. Be a trailblazer, right? And it's like, that's not what Frost is saying. You read the whole poem here. He's saying it doesn't make a fucking difference one way or another. You still end up getting out of the woods on the other side.
The interpretation I heard in my class was, this is the narrator making or the speaker, that's what the term is, reasoning why the road last year was better, but how would he know? Because he didn't take the other road.
Right. Well, that's a good point too. That's actually a reasonable. I would accept that one. I did not ever accept the one that my teacher gave me. No. That he chose the right one and it made all the difference. No, it didn't. You have no fucking clue. No.
It's just
all he did was work harder to get to the other side.
Yeah. Sometimes the harder road is worth it, and sometimes you made a mistake and you picked the harder path, right? I mean, it's like...
See, Nate makes a great point here.
Maybe there was a bear on the road more traveled. No.
Yeah, right. If I'd taken the easier one, that's where all the bear were hanging out, and I've been mauled to death, and I never would have made it. Nate makes a great point. It's and maybe this is why I'm such a big David Lynch fan. David Lynch and I would be totally simpatico on the whole death of the author thing, right? Where he makes an assertion and the interviewer says, "Would you like to elaborate on that?" No, I would not. He says all he is willing to say, and that's it. And really, you really want to know what David Lynch thinks? Rewatch the movie or whatever, because everything is there. And if you interpret it differently than he did, and you tell him that, his response will be, "That's a very interesting interpretation. Does it match up with yours? Maybe." He's very death of the author. Take from it what you will, And I feel the same way about poetry. And I don't like people telling me this is what it means.
Yes.
Anyway, The Great Gatsby was one of those for me,
I had to read a bunch of books in high school. Catcher in the Rye was another one. So was To Kill a Mockingbird. I remember reading that one.
Oh, I did a whole diorama on To Kill a Mockingbird.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't do a diorama, I think, based on that book, but my brother, when he was a kid, did a diorama based on House with a Clock in Its Walls. Remember that one?
Yeah.
John Bellers. Okay.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you. I had forgotten. Yes, it's Enter the Dragon and The Last Dragon. Those are the ones I'm doing this week, and I will have those streams up probably tomorrow. Or I have that stream up tomorrow. Yeah. Go ahead. Next one.
I'm just going to say scary stories to tell in the dark.
And this is where
We're
I have
going
to...
younger now, yes. Okay.
This is where I have to recommend another YouTuber. Check out John Solo. That's Jon Solo. He has a series of videos about scary stories to tell in the dark, where he compares. They did a movie or something like that.
They did a movie based on it, yeah.
And each one of the stories is loosely related to the different stories in Scary Stories
Yes.
to Tell in the Dark. And he explains the differences and why they're different, and very, very interesting stuff. But in addition to that compare and contrast, he also explains the relationship between both and the original folklore that it draws from.
Yeah. You have, let's see here, though, but I remember there was the big toe story in the book. Remember, the kid saw a big toe sticking out of the ground, so he just gives it a good hard jerk, and it came right off, and then he brought it home to his mom to make for supper. You like that? And there's more to the story than that, but I'm just saying, weirdness, horrifying, creepy illustrations in these books. I got all 3 volumes. I was very upset when I was waiting for the 4th volume to come out, and it was a best of volume, and I'm like, this is nonsense. Alvin Schwartz, get off your butt and make a 4th volume. I didn't realize till years later, he had died after he wrote the 3rd volume. That's why we didn't get a 3rd volume.
Well, get out of your grave and write another story, damn it.
I'll say this, though. The appendices or the stuff in the back of the books are also worth reading, because he does all the origins of all these stories. You can figure out where they come from.
Yeah.
Like I think the one about the woman going to the church service for the dead, I think that originally comes from Sweden. But it was about the woman. She wakes up really early. She hears bells, and she's like, "I'm late for church." And she goes to church, and everyone's shrouded. And then someone comes up and says, "You shouldn't have come here. This is a service for the dead." And then suddenly they start noticing she's there, and they're like, "Get out!" And like they start clawing at her, and she runs out of the church, and one of them grabs like a piece of cloth from her shirt. And I think when she stopped by the church later, when everybody was up or something, she found the piece of cloth there or something, So
there's a story about
it's a creepy story. Nothing bad happens to her. She gets out of there, but it's like she was going someplace she shouldn't have gone at the wrong time, I guess. I don't know.
There is a story in Creepy Tales to Tell in the Dark called actually I don't remember the title, but it was about like a scarecrow that's
Harold.
Okay. Yeah,
that's a good one.
It's based on a Scandinavian myth, the Senentucci. And there is a great movie from 2010. It's a Scandinavian film called the Senentucci. I talked about it in the stream we did talking about the Scandinavian films. It's on Tubi right now. Check it out. It's one of those. I can't talk too much about it. A Senentucci is essentially a scarecrow. It is creating an artificial person out of straw and stuff, and turning it into a I don't want to say a slave or servant or something like that. But the folklore is that some of these men that lived in the mountains would make a Senentucci wife to take care of the house and to take care of them.
Oh, whoa! No.
And this movie deals with a bunch of guys getting drunk and creating a Senentucci, and
don't do it.
Comes to life, and they don't treat her very well, and
not.
There's a huge twist ending that I don't want to ruin for you.
I need to see this. Okay.
Yes. Senentucci. Senentuntsch. Oh, screw it.
I'll ask you late tomorrow. On Sunday, I'll ask you about it.
Yeah, it's in my list because I watched it and it messed my head up a little bit. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah. Had to read this in middle school. Required reading over the summer. That was just something
I've never heard of this one before.
Yeah, they sometimes schools will have here's your book you have to read over the summer. Make sure you have it read by the fall. What's the name of the book? A Day No Pigs Would Die. This was about Shakers, who I assume were less fun versions of Quakers.
Less fun versions.
That's what I wanted to say. Shakers, they're the sinners, or something. I don't know.
Welcome, Tim Hayes.
The Quakers. Anyway, this is I did not care for this book. There's a horrifying scene in the book where they, we have to train your dog how to go after coyotes. We have a coyote in this barrel. Take your dog, and the minute the dog goes after the coyote, and it'll have a taste for the coyotes and always go after them. Then, of course, something goes horribly wrong in the barrel.
Of course,
I'm not going to get into details because I'm sure there's some dog lovers in the chat. And I think the book ends with they're going to starve in the winter, so they have to eat the pet pig, his pet pig that they've been raising all this time. They have to eat it, or the family's going to starve. And
right.
I guess the idea is hopefully one day there'll be a day no pigs would die. Okay, blah, blah. Didn't like the book. I remember working in a chain bookstore once years back, and some guy came up and he was like, look, that's an evil novel, because I don't know if this ended up on a banned book list, and I just kind of nodded and agreed, yes, because I didn't like the book, so I didn't care if it was offensive to him. Oh, I did not like this book. Quakers don't smoke, don't drink, and they don't dance. I think Shakers were fun for... Okay, so Shakers were more lenient. Okay. They didn't seem that they just so they could do a dance. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Edgar Allan Poe. You like Poe?
Yeah, it is kind of like a golem. Like absolutely, Nate. Yeah.
They had a great episode of Superboy about a golem. Remember that? A bunch of I think like a Jewish temple was being attacked by a certain group that rhymes with Yahtzee. And
I don't remember that, but man,
one of the young rabbis or someone in the church decides to make a golem to go after these, and Superman has to go up against the golem because eventually it's going to get out of control or whatever. And then later on in the episode, the end of the episode, the one guy says, who's part of the community, says, golems in the right hands, they can be used as a force for good. And I think the guy helped out, and then you realize this guy is a golem. That was brought to life, and I thought it was interesting that it was basically saying, it's not the golem that's bad, it's I guess it's the creator, however it was made, because he actually was a golem that got turned for good and was, I guess, like a superhero for that community.
Nice.
Or something, but it was interesting, yeah. Have a complete collection of Edgar Allan Poe, sit down and read them. Yeah, they're good. You can always do it one story at a time in evening.
Oh yeah, that's just it. When you have a collection, you can do one story at a time, and they go quick.
Like an hour or two. You probably get one read in an hour. They're great. Favorite story is The Black Cat, but he has many great stories. House of Usher.
Wait, before you go on. Black Cat. There's also a movie with.
There's lots of Black Cat adaptations. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the one with. Oh gosh. I want to say Boris Karloff and.
You're thinking of The Raven.
Is it The Raven? Oh, sorry.
Now the adaptation of The Black Cat was in another Roger Corman movie, which was, I believe, it was. Tales of Terror, and it had Peter Lorre was in it with Vincent Price, and I think one of the stories was The Black Cat, and Vincent Price was in all of them. It's kind of funny. There's a scene in the movie where they do a wine tasting thing, and one is a wine connoisseur, the other guy is a drunk, but he drinks so much that he's also a connoisseur, and it's Vincent Price versus Peter Lorre in a wine tasting contest, and it's funny. I think that's in the Black Cat story. I could be wrong though. Or maybe it's the Casco Monticello.
Without giving too much away, Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies has reminded me that sometimes people take and use as pseudonyms names from famous stories.
Yep.
And I see the name Annabelle Lee, and I'm like, No one comment.
But I know we're getting probably to the point of getting over to Rumble. I was hoping to finish this up, but we can, I guess, finish it up over there. What do you want to do?
Karloff and Lugosi, which story are you talking about?
Wait a minute. No, that's a black and white movie. He's right. No, there was another Black Cat made by Universal Studios, and that had Karloff and Lugosi.
That's the one I was thinking of. Okay. I was mistaken. Yeah.
That's another great adaptation. That was a great adaptation of Black Cat. In fact, it had a very modernist look to the house, which I thought was interesting.
Yes.
It's a great horror movie.
But the reason I bring that up, very good films. Still, you probably want to read the book.
Yeah, the stories are great. They hold up well even today. There's some antiquated language, but I find it rather charming. But yeah, the 1930s. I know what you're talking about, Tim Hayes. Yes. I'm almost done here anyway. Let's just
The Eyes of the Killer Robot.
The Eyes of the Killer Robot by John Bellers. Many people know John Bellers for the House with a Clock in Its Walls series. But he also wrote another
Which
series.
Netter's a big fan of. I had to buy her that movie.
Yeah.
With Jack Black.
Yeah, but he also wrote the Johnny Dixon mysteries, which had kind of a similar vibe to them, kind of horrific type stuff. And Edward Gorey did all the artwork for these books. See, that's
nice.
Edward Gorey artwork. But this was an interesting book. I think the bad people in it, and it's really curious, I think they were trying to create a fake baseball player to help them win at baseball or something. But it was I think he actually, I don't know if he ends up being going into the Yankee Stadium or something at some point in the book. It was a good little book, the Johnny Dixon mysteries. That was his other big series. 1960s horror film starred Vincent Price and Peter Lorre. Yep. And there we got to my last book on here. I'm going back in order of big books that influenced me. The Berenstain Bears.
Oh, I love the Berenstain Bears. Oh gosh.
This was the creepy one.
I remember the spooky old tree. Yep. I read all of the Berenstain Bears, and you know how I did it? Mm-hmm. They were in the school library. I took one after the other.
Go to your local library.
Yep.
We may have to continue school libraries on Rumble. That might be an interesting breakpoint to that. But that's it for my little brief presentation, which I guess wasn't as brief as I thought it would be. But how do I get rid of this thing now? I got to remove it.
I can remove
from
it.
Studio. Well, I can do it. Okay, you do it then. All right.
Fine, you do.
But
you would have to hit stop sharing, but
actually, it's the midnight hour. Did you want to switch over to Rumble?
I am. I'm going to switch over. Are you staying with me, Boomer? Or do you have to work tomorrow?
I don't have to work tomorrow, so I'll stick around for a bit. Yeah.
All right. Let me. So I am going to be shutting down the YouTube stream now. If you want to join us for the rest of the stream over on Rumble, I would not only appreciate it, I would ask you to come on over and follow me over there, because if anything ever happens to this YouTube channel, that's where my stream is going to be every Friday.
Okay. I love this from Sir Torrent Gang. Library. Sounds like a dishonest fruit.
A library. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, join us over on Rumble. We'll continue the fun time.
And Nate, wait, before we do, let's say goodnight to Nate. Pacelli's, unfortunately tonight, I will be able to follow you.
Unable, probably.
Unable to follow us over on. I got to hit the hay. Need to be at work tomorrow early. It was great hanging out with everybody. Nate, just remember, you can always catch that Rumble stream tomorrow. You know, it'll still be up there if you want to see what we said after you left. We're going to talk about you now. But no, seriously, get over to Rumble. Let me drop that one more time for you all.
And you can pin it to the top.
Yes, I probably should, right? Let me go back to my previous...
No, just go to the same one. Go to your Rumble.
Nope.
And just hit pin. Replace pin message.
Yep.
There you go.
There we go. So we'll be over on Rumble. Come hang out with us if you are so inclined for the wrap up and.
Well, we're going to talk about. I'm going to read notes about what's currently going on in the publishing industry.
Yeah, we're shifting from what we've been reading to what's going on now.
Some interesting things read on our blog. Okay. Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me on YouTube. Hope that you come hang out with me on Rumble, and please follow me on Rumble in case anything ever happens to this channel, which, let's face it, is entirely possible. So, good night, YouTube.
And Boomer, I want to know what you did to your YouTube stream.
I made it private because we're moving to Rumble.
Okay.
I didn't know how to cancel the stream on my site, so I figured I'll just make it private for now.
Okay.
Oh, you don't have to do that.
It says
no, but I figured we want everybody to go to Rumble. This is the Rumble time, right? But that's what I did. I went to edit stream and went into private.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're. Well, actually, then what you ought to do is click up in the upper corner, and I think you can. Let me
stop
see,
the stream. I don't know how to
Boomer.
do that. That's why
I can do it. I could do it. Do you want me to stop your YouTube?
Stop mine. Yes, stop mine. That's fine. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to stop mine because I couldn't care less.
Well, I thought the idea is we want Troy to be. If we want everybody heading over to Rumble, they could have a Netters channel. Get ready to Rumble.
If he ends the YouTube stream they'll end all of ours.
That's true. Okay, here we are.
That might be true. I don't know if that's true.
It is.
No, because it's coming through StreamYard, so you may still be streaming on YouTube.
The last time you ended, well, let's see. End on.
This will be a good experiment, actually. Maybe we'll find out.
Okay, I did. I ended on YouTube.
And see if Netter still carries.
I am only seeing X. I am seeing Rumble, and I am seeing Netter.
So it's possible Netter.
Because I booted Aged Boomer.
Gotcha. We'll find out. It'll be a good experiment for us. Are we live on Rumble?
We
Hi,
are.
On Rumble.
Give me a second. I need to get back there.
Hello.
There we go. Because I'm seeing JPRPH1. Got my Apple TV box on Rumble. Oh yeah, he said that earlier on, and he said, yeah, he's been here. Deleted scenes, salute. Pie Boy, which of course is Connie Cleary. Hail chat. Get ready to Rumble. I like that, Pootie. I had never actually thought of that. It's Rumble time, says Samuel Proctor. Boomer, you're such a boomer, and we love it. JPRPH1, yes. Do all librarians wear cool glasses, Boomer?
Boomer, are you a sexy librarian?
I don't think I'd go that far. We've had some. I've known some nice looking librarian ladies, though. Yes, but no, not myself. I do wear glasses sometimes, though, because I do that for driving. So yeah.
Okay, it doesn't look like my YouTube did close. I thought it did.
Well, interesting. Well, like I said, you do what you will.
I was on Troy's, not mine, so let me look at mine.
All right.
Because I had all our tabs open, so let's see. I just refreshed my screen.
All right.
No, I seem to still be there, so.
I want to see if I can post a link in Rumble. All right, Troy, I'm going to try doing that from the blog that I had mentioned.
Wait, before you do that...
I guess I could do it in StreamYard too. You want to wait? Okay, I'll wait.
Wait a minute. I
could always send it privately too if you want to post it yourself.
Because I just figured in case you guys wanted to, sexy librarian, just,
Well, I want to see what's going on here.
Well, look at StreamYard.
Well, I'm looking at Stream. Oh, I'm okay. Oh, okay. How did you get that?
I just looked up sexy librarian on Google.
I thought it was an AI thing.
It probably is.
I tried doing an AI thing on a certain service I use, and I put in the word sex as we do not allow you to see those images.
You're not allowed to actually say the word sexy librarian.
And I put, attractive librarian. And if you want a sexier librarian, type in attractive Latina librarian.
I might have to reach out to Culture Casino because he has been talking about, compartmentalizing generative AI where you can run it from your own desktop.
Yes.
And then you can do whatever you want and you can, be more specific and stuff. That might be something interesting to find out. Can you not stream on both at the same time? Yes. I have been... So, Pootie... Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you brought this up because I really should share this. I start out the streams on YouTube, on Rumble, and Twitter, or X, right? So all three of them are streaming, and Aged Boomer and Netter as well on YouTube. But then after the 2-hour mark, I shut down the YouTube stream because I'm trying to get people to come over to Rumble and, follow me here because, again, I don't want to this is very important. If anything ever happens to my YouTube channel, which happens to people all the time, I will continue my streams on Rumble. I will always be here on Rumble. I have far more faith in Rumble than I do in YouTube. So it's important that I start building my follower base. Diversify, I should say, and if you're following me on Twitter, if you're one of those Twitter-type tweets, you'll know, because that's where I'll let everybody know, hey, I've moved and whatnot. Actually, it's probably a good thing that I don't talk about this enough, but if you look at the description on any of my videos, I do talk about other places that you probably should be following me. I have a Discord, which is linked below. You could join us on the Discord. always, of course, I have my Netter's PayPal, so you can buy us a drink if you want to. I have a MeWe group dedicated to Last Call and this whole community really. But I've also got groups on MeWe for the fans strike back against Disney Star Wars, fixing the DC cinematic universe, fixing the Universal Monsters shared universe. Just groups where we continue talking about some of the things that I've talked about a number of times here on the stream. So, and I'm seeing Tim Hayes made it over here. I see deleted scenes with Cat. I always watch on Rumble but follow on YouTube on my iPhone. Oh yeah, okay. When it comes to different devices and whatnot, I whatever's easiest for you, by all means, make sure you do with whatever's best for you. I don't have a computer, and Troy gets paid. That is true, John. I've actually made about $2.50 on Rumble. I've made absolutely zero on YouTube because I'm not monetized on YouTube. Rumble starts you out from your first video as monetized. I have I think about 55 subscribers on Rumble. I have over 1,000 on YouTube, and yet I've made actual dollars on Rumble. Mm-hmm. So that's right. No, I wouldn't say that Rumble is light on copyright. They're more fair about copyright. Right. So, for example, and I'm glad you bring this up. Last week, Lady V bought me a drink with the request that I sing Charlie Rich Behind Closed Doors. And I did. And, of course, I knew I was going to get hit with a copyright claim on that. So I muted it on the video. If you were to go watch last week's video, that segment is muted, but it's all on Rumble. You can still hear it on Rumble, and I took the clip out of the song and uploaded that to Rumble so that she could hear it.
On your MeWe, for whatever reason, I can't paste the URL for this picture, but look at the picture I put in MeWe and put it up.
Sure. Let's see. Okay, that's a good one. Is that from Rizzolian Isles?
Yeah, that's Rizzoli.
Okay, let me share this stream. This is a Netter share.
That's the librarian that would be in a National Lampoon movie.
Let's remove this, and I will. What do I? Yeah, I got rid of it. And
did they do a Rizzolian Isles where one of them was undercover as a librarian?
No,
yes.
She went to go get some evidence, and she had noted that the evidence clerk was into sexy librarians based on the calendar that was behind him.
Okay.
Marron.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I'm dressed like a librarian. Because everyone kept asking her if she was a stewardess, and she's like, first of all, I'm dressed like a librarian. And then she had a pair of glasses in her hand. She was like nibbling on the end of her glasses.
I mean, ladies, you probably already know.
And she even
doesn't take much to just scramble a guy's brain.
Then her next comment was, for a bunch of detectives, you guys are pretty unobservant. Didn't you guys notice the calendar behind him with the sexy librarian? So she was able to get some evidence that this guy was holding up and refusing to give to him without some proper forms that they couldn't get until they had the evidence to be able to get the form.
I missed that show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
There was that. There was The Closer. That was another one.
The Closer, which then became Major Crimes.
Major Crimes. I like the fact that the one detective on there was from the Police Academy movies, and I kept wondering if it was supposed to be the same character.
That would have been interesting. I don't think it was, but yeah, that would have been I never actually made that connection. It's a good point. Okay, let's get rid of the sexy librarians. And,
Okay.
That's enough of
All
that.
right.
That's enough.
Should-
We got enough. We got sexy sitting across from me. We got librarian down below here, so we're set.
Okay. So should I go ahead and
Actually,
post-
wait a minute. Let me ask you that. So you recently finished your finals,
Yes.
and that's and you're trying to get your librarian
Yes,
certification or
that's
something
still
like
a
that.
ways off, but yes, I've got through this semester. Yes.
Right? You have more that you have to do.
Yes.
Oh crap. Okay. I mean, oh my gosh! How much do you have to learn to be a librarian? You know the Dewey Decimal System. You can find the books.
I'll tell you all about it.
You'd think you could just take a test, get your certification, and be done with it.
No, I'll tell you more about it on Sunday. I'll tell you all about it.
Okay.
Anyway, but let's talk about this article, this major blog, I should say, about the innards of the publishing industry. Do you want to hear about that?
Yeah, please.
All right, so let me go ahead and copy this. I'm going to post.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, Boomer. You're gonna have to come back again.
Did you just kick out Boomer?
I was trying to remove his share, and unfortunately, I lost Boomer himself. He's gonna have to come back in.
Sorry, Boomer.
Yeah, I'm the one that boomered this time. I'm sorry. My apologies. I was trying to remove.
You didn't hear me cussing.
Well, it's probably for the best then. If you want to cuss now, go ahead.
Me. Anyway,
okay,
I'm going
fair
to
enough.
post the link. Okay, I'm just going to post the link. There we go. No one buys books anymore. That's the headline. Let me give you the link to the actual article.
No one buys
blog.
books anymore. Everything we learned about the publishing industry from the Penguin versus DOJ. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were saving that for tonight.
I
That's
was
right.
originally going to do this on Sunday, but I thought that was
Booty! 6 strikes again. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. There we go. This is a blogger. Her name is Elle Griffin. Don't know much about her, but I know that she wrote a pretty in-depth article. She read this very complicated book called The Trial that was about, I guess, another company trying to acquire Simon & Schuster. She said it took her over a year to read. I think this was very dense text, courtroom proceeding crap, but she's finally summarized her findings and pulled out all the compelling highlights. And I picked out highlights from her compelling highlights. So you might want to read the whole article to get more, but I want to read some quotes and we can comment them as I go along, all right? How's that sound?
Absolutely.
Right,
This
read a
is
paragraph.
No One Buys Books Anymore. Gonna
Yes.
share it. There we go.
I think I can sum up what I've learned like this. The big 5 publishing houses spend most of their money on book advances for big celebrities like Britney Spears and franchise authors like James Patterson, and this is the bulk of their business. They also sell a lot of Bibles, repeat bestsellers like Lord of the Rings, and children's books like The Very Hungry Caterpillar. These 2 market categories, celebrity books and repeat bestsellers from the backlist, make up the entirety of the publishing industry and even fund their vanity project, publishing all the rest of the books we think about when we think about book publishing, which make no money at all and typically sell less than 1,000 copies.
Wow. Wow.
So, like I said, no, not trying to discourage anybody here. Like I said, publishing is a... Why is deleted scenes yelling?
Damn it, Troy. Yeah, I know. Well,
you're
this is what happens when I drink, folks. It
You're
happens.
actually posting from the blog. That's interesting. Okay. All right. I didn't see that there. All right. So, turns out they agree. It goes on to say later, I think, okay. She said in her essay, "No one read your book." I said that publishing houses work more like venture capitalists. They invest small sums in lots of books in hopes that one of them breaks out and becomes a unicorn, making it enough money to fund all the rest. Turns out they agree. Every year in thousands of ideas and dreams, only a few make it to the top. So this is a quote, okay? Every year in thousands of ideas and dreams, only a few make it to the top. So I call it the Silicon Valley of media. We are angel investors of our authors and their dreams, their stories. That's how I call my editors and publishers angels. It's rather this idea of Silicon Valley. You see 35% are profitable, 50 on a contribution basis. So every book has the same likelihood of succeeding. That's from Marcus Dole, CEO, Penguin Random House. You know Penguin Random House?
Yes,
You know, though?
of course.
She goes on to say, those unicorns happen every 5 years or so. Here's another quote. We're very hit-driven. When a book is successful, it can be widely successful. There are books that sell millions and millions of copies, and those are financial gushes for the publishers of that book, sometimes for years to come. A gusher is once in a decade or something. For instance, I don't know if you know the Twilight series of books. Hachette published the Twilight series of books, and those made hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of time.
Sure.
Another quote is, right
I
now...
would argue that the synergy with the film franchise kind of helps.
Yeah, but even before the film helped, but
Sure.
even that probably brought in more
Well,
people.
you wouldn't have had a movie series if the books hadn't been
already been
successful.
selling.
So, yeah.
I read the first Twilight book on recommendation of a female friend of mine. It was I don't. Does Netter like those books?
Which books?
The Twilight books.
No.
No,
Because I don't want to offend people that like the Twilight books. But let's just say it was not for me. It was a teeny girl romance book where the main hero doesn't actually, in my opinion, do much of anything. He just
I find it
except watch her
interesting
while
that
she's
the
sleeping. Anyway, go.
She's beyond useless, and you just want to smack her through the whole thing.
And
the
I find it
movies were 10
humorous
times worse.
that the 50 Shades of Grey books were intended to be fan fiction related to
And
or
they
based
were
on
also-
Twilight, just a little bit more adult, and
Also
it's like,
best-selling books.
Never read it,
oh, just
yeah, never read it, never will.
Anyway, interesting. Right now, the novels of Colleen Hoover are topping the bestseller lists in really, really huge numbers, and the publishers of those books are making a lot of money. You probably remember The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or the 50 Shades of Grey series. So once every 5 years, 10 years, those come along for the whole industry and becomes the industry driver that's drawing attention into bookstores because there is such a commotion about them. So it sounds like they're waiting for these hits. That's Michael Pietsch, CEO of Hachette Publishing. Yeah, so this is I can keep reading if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Big advances go to celebrities. They spend a lot
wait, real quick, let me
go
answer
ahead.
Pootie's question. Yeah, Netter and I are married. She's sitting right across from me. Yep.
Well, we don't have to be married for me to sit across from you, but yes, we are.
Yes. we live in the same house. Yes.
We still don't need to be married for that.
Well, that's true, but we happen to be, yes.
But yes, we are.
I don't know if that makes us related, because that could be weird.
We got the same last name.
We do have the same last name, that's true.
Of course, that also doesn't mean that we're married. I could be your sister.
Shelley.
That would be very weird.
Yes, it would. Considering we share a bed, yes.
Yes.
But yes, we are 31 years married. It'll be 32 in August.
Excellent. I'm sure they'll do a stream where they tell all about their some of their history.
Actually, we have. We were check out Netter's Network.
Thursday things for our anniversary.
Yeah, August 3rd of this
Last
2023. Yeah.
Big advances go to celebrities. They spend a lot of the trial talking about books that made an advance of more than $250,000. They call these anticipated top sellers. According to Nicholas Hill, a partner at Bates White's Economic Consulting, 2% of all titles earn an advance of over $250,000. The Publishers Marketplace says it's even lower. Top-selling authors were defined as those receiving advances, i.e. guaranteed money, in excess of $250,000. Far fewer than 1% of authors receiving advances over that mark. Publishers Marketplace, which tracks these things, recorded 233 such deals of all of 2022. Okay, blah, blah. Hill says that titles that earn advances of $250,000 account for more than 70% of advanced spending in publishing houses. At Penguin Random House, it's even more. The bulk of their advanced spending goes to deals worth $1 million or more, and there are about 200 of those deals a year. Of the roughly $370 million, they say PRH accounts for $200 million that goes in advanced deals worth $1 million or more. Books by the Obamas sold so many copies they had to be removed from the charts as statistical anomalies. Here's a quote. There are giant celebrities, Michelle Obama, where you know it's going to be a top seller. Okay, that's a quote. Because they are so lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just make sure you're still okay. Because they are so lucrative, Gallery Books Group focuses its efforts on trying to get celebrities to write books. Here's another quote. 75% of our acquisitions comes from approaching celebrities, politicians, athletes, the quote-unquote celebrity adjacent, etc. That way we can control the content. We are approaching authors and celebrities and politicians.
I'm guessing... I'm sorry, let me interrupt you real quick. Yes. I'm guessing that this article does not get into the fact that book deals are... They don't want to speak negatively of the industry, but the idea that book deals are used for funneling money to politicians and celebrities. You know, you do this, that, and the other for us, and then write a book, and we'll buy 1 billion copies, and you make lots of money, and that's how we funnel money to you.
This is just what's on record. We don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. This came out on record because of the trial, okay, that was going on with Simon Schuster. So it's really, we are on the lookout.
Did you want to summarize what that trial was about, what the case was
I don't remember. It was a bigger company. I don't want to say if it's Random House. Somebody was trying to buy out Simon & Schuster.
Right.
And maybe it was Penguin Random House. And then I think they weren't allowed because I think they were, it was a monopoly fear. I'm not sure. So I don't want to speak as an expert on that. That was the impression I got, but I could be wrong. But that's what I think it was about. Yeah, and I think it got
real quick. Let me answer Pootie's question here. I would not be exclusive. I would put it up on YouTube. I would put it up on Rumble. Whatever other place you want to, if you want to get it out there. And if you can monetize those platforms, so much the better.
This is like a bonus, right? What you're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Because you still have your main 2 hours. Because usually you just go for 2 hours. Now this is like a bonus. Yeah. We've had a lot of success publishing musicians. I mentioned Bruce Springsteen. We also published Bob Dylan and Linda Ronstadt. A lot of entertainers through the years. There was a political writer, Ben Shapiro, who was who has a very popular podcast and a large following. He also competed with HarperCollins for that.
Yeah.
So they were wanting to get him to do stuff too. Penguin Random House US has guidelines for who gets what advance. Category 1 lead titles with sales go of 75,000 units and up. Advanced 500,000 and up. Category 2 titles with sales go of 25,000 to 775,000 units. Advance 150,000 to 500,000. Category 3 titles with a sale go of 10,000 to 25 units. Advance 50,000, 150,000. Category 4 titles with a sale go of 5,000 to 10,000. Advance 50,000 or less. This is the rub, I guess.
Yeah.
Is anything else alarmed that the top tier book sales 75,000 units and up? One post on Substack could get more views than that. This is a point I want to bring up too, the franchise authors, because I kept wondering, what did you mean by franchise authors? Jeez. Are you okay?
I'm just having problems getting this in frame.
It's okay. I skipped over parts. I didn't do the whole article.
That's fine.
So I just picked out what I thought would be juicy for the stream Sunday.
Sure.
I held on to it. But franchise authors are the other big category. Now, I kept thinking, do they mean the authors themselves? Are they meaning like Stephanie Plum's? No, Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series. Is that a franchise? I didn't quite know what that. I think what they're meaning is the author's name.
The author's name, but they usually tend to write a series. You know.
Sometimes, but franchise authors are the other big category. Walsh's James Patterson and John Grisham get advances in the many millions. Putnam makes most of its money from repeat authors like John Sanford, Clive Cussler, Tom Clancy, Lisa Scottoline, and others. Can I just bring up something about Tom Clancy?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yep.
So they're still using his name on books.
Yeah, absolutely are.
And other writers writing them. That's a little weird to me. James Patterson often, quote-unquote, collaborates with other writers.
It's funny you say that because there's a series of books, the Matt Bolan series, and whoever is listed as the author is just a pseudonym. It's actually written by a whole team of authors. I happen to know one of them personally.
Oh, thank you, JPRPH1. You're so organized. But to be fair, Troy just found the articles pasting it here, but I am reading the notes from it. This is what happened. Well, when you go to college or if you work for a business, sometimes you have to give presentations. That's how you learn. But the idea is to, with a presentation, keep it moving, right? And keep it interesting because you don't want to bore your audience. But anyway, let me go on here. Putnam typically publishes about 60 books a year. It's this is correct. That's a question from the trial. At 60, 65, sort of on average, I will say those 65, through a good portion of those are repeat authors, franchise authors that regularly publish every year, sometimes twice a year.
Yeah.
Okay. This is another point I thought was interesting. Publishing houses, I can verify this is true, too, because let's just say I attended a seminar that an agent talked about, publishing that an agent gave, and I don't want to go into too many details because it's sort of a sworn to secrecy thing, but this is true. Since it's here, publishing houses want a built-in audience. The advantage of publishing celebrity books is that they have a built-in audience. In some of the cases, the reason they are paying big money is because the person has a big platform. And if that platform is there for the advertising, then the spread might be lower. Yeah. For instance, Bill O'Reilly puts out his history books. And I'm not disparaging those books. I'm sure they're well researched. But my point is that even when he had on Fox, he had the Fox show. Even now, he has a YouTube channel, which many people watch. And he can say, I have this book coming out.
Right. So if he puts out a history book, it's probably doesn't contain anything that hasn't already been published by someone else. But because he's a name...
Yeah,
people
he does. I will say this. He says he does work with proper historians.
Sure.
And just puts what's on the record. He tries to go fact for fact. He's having one coming out about some of the bad presidents we've had over the years, and he mentions that I guess Lyndon. That I think they found evidence or something that Kennedy was going to pull us out of Vietnam before he was, and that Lyndon Johnson was the one that pushed for it after he had been assassinated. Which I thought was interesting.
Which of course leads to all the deep state, wanting to get rid of Kennedy, get rid of Bobby, and institutionalize their guy who was LBJ. Yeah. I remember my mother even saying, because she remembered when Kennedy got shot and seeing the footage of him being sworn in on the plane. And she said, I always felt like he had this look on his face like, like he was glad it happened, like, now's my chance or whatever. And I'm like, Mom, I believe he was in on it.
There's an interesting book on Johnson called Master of the Senate. If you ever want to read it.
Does it talk about him whipping out his willy? And
probably.
Yeah. He did that in the Oval Office.
I'm sure he did. Yes, he was not. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Anyway, Macmillan agrees. Would you agree that those types of authors, meaning the ones with the built-in audience, are also authors who would command a high advance if they went to a traditional publisher like Macmillan or PHR? That's a broad brush, yes. And you're willing to pay more if they have a significant following? Yes.
Obviously, yeah.
They give
That's
some
just
examples.
Marketing. Yeah, that makes sense.
The Butcher and the Wren, this particular author has a big following with a single post on Instagram. She pre-sold over 40,000 books. So, I mean, that's just staggering from a per copy perspective. And it pretty much guarantees a #1 spot on the New York Times bestseller list when it's published in September. So that's interesting. She's popular.
So think about that. This is not only are you getting an author and their book, but you're getting their built-in...
Yes.
6, that's because you're on Netter's stream. Netter is still... Oh, I see. You're telling Netter that she is still going on YouTube.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yep. And that's fine.
Gives me more watch time.
It gives her more watch time. It doesn't really hurt me, so that's fine.
There we go. But it's interesting, though. So, of course, people on the social media that have a big following that may not necessarily even be writers might stand a greader chance of
and this is the value of social media that I don't think enough people are tapping into, but clearly the writing community understands it. The publishers are taking advantage of it.
I have heard, though, and I don't know how true this is. I heard this from another author, that for some reason YouTube is not popular with publishers, though, which I thought was interesting. Now I don't know how evidence of this, because I don't know why Instagram would be and they would just ignore YouTube.
Okay, so YouTube,
they don't like YouTube following.
Here's the problem with YouTube. I'm guessing. I'm speculating. YouTube, from the point of view of a publisher, if you're out there doing reviews of books, if you're actually doing summaries and talks about those books, they feel like that might hurt their book sales rather than help.
Maybe. Possibly,
but,
I don't know. But yeah, I know that when the certain person I attended a presentation, they were like, they almost want you to have the following because it means they don't have to do the advertising. You can do the advertising for them. You can do the promotion for them, which, frankly speaking, that kind of bothers me. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I
and
understand
I'll get into this
why.
at the end of this because here's the problem. Okay, do you remember the line in the 300 when who did you bring here? What does this man do? I'm a baker, and who does this man do? I'm a carpenter. I do this. How many? And he says, I brought men. We brought more men than you did. And he says, and what is this guy? I'm a carpenter. He says this thing is, and well, all my men are soldiers.
Right.
Do you understand? So I brought more soldiers than you. And my
Spartans, what is your profession? How?
Yes.
Yeah.
My point is that, to be a good writer, to be good at your craft, needs to be your primary thing that you do each day. And I'm not saying that a person can't do other things like YouTube or Instagram and stuff, but I'm saying it feels like they're going to people who maybe this isn't their main line of profession, and is the writing quality going to suffer because of this? Maybe they don't care as long as the books sell. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
no, I absolutely do. But
are we away from the days of Oscar Wilde spending a whole morning looking over whether or not he should insert a comma or not insert a comma into a paragraph? But
then what these publishers are basically saying is, without actually saying it, they're bloody leeches. Right? If you're if you're the author who writes the book and you have the following to sell the books, what the fuck do you need the publisher for? Just self-publish.
Well, that's
if you can sell 40,000 copies yourself, screw Random House, screw Penguin.
I'm thinking the only thing they may offer are professional editors, which is nothing to
Six is absolutely right. The Oxford comma for the win, because it's the difference between let's eat, Grandma, and let's eat grandma.
Well, yeah. Also, before the end, I go both ways on the Oxford comma. I do fight with it, but I am still kind of traditionally minded, so I still use it. Yes,
I'm open to the debate, but I have yet to see a compelling argument against the Oxford comma.
Yeah, but Oscar Wilde had some interesting stories. But a big audience means, in fact, Oscar Wilde had one of my favorite quotes. You know what the quote is?
What's that?
Work is the curse of the drinking class.
Oh, heaven forbid.
It's a joke. No, it's a joke. It's a play on words, like drink is the curse of the working class instead of work is the curse of the drinking class.
Oh, yeah. I get it. I get it now. Let me tell you this. If any author that is, spending a great deal of time debating on the placement of a comma, it's probably an author I want to read. Because they're actually thinking. They're actually thinking. Again, they're not just spewing out bullshit and saying, here, go.
I got really pissed off by that Prince Harry book, Spare. Okay? Because my impression was... And
Six, we need to get you on stream and just talk about drinking.
Okay. Spare, the book Spare, the big scandalous Prince Harry book that came out where he's, I guess, spilling the dirt? That was ghost written. And this is why it pisses me off. If any person in the world, I would think, could afford to hire a private writing tutor, writing lessons, or spend their time writing, I would think it would be a royal. And he had someone ghostwrite his own book. I don't get it. But what do I know? I don't know.
Real quick,
write your own book.
John is saying, if I'm remembering correctly, Six has a wonderful singing voice. I would not be surprised. She's got a wonderful voice, period. I don't think I've heard her sing, but I can imagine she has a wonderful singing voice.
Anyway, let's move on. I don't know how much more I got left, but let me see here. A big audience means publishing houses don't have to spend money on marketing. Yeah, I'd mentioned this. These big advances,
That's
the
what
authors
we were talking about, yeah.
have quite a bit of their own infrastructure with them. They have their own publicists. They have their own social media people. They have their own newsletters. We are able to offload a good amount of the work, not all the time, but this is actually a factor in why we sometimes pay these big advances, because the authors are actually capable of helping us a lot. Well, so this does make some sense, because the cost of doing the promotion is now offloaded on the author so they can give them more money. I sort of understand that, but still, it does kind of bother me at the same time. For example, who is the best-selling author, Simon & Schuster author currently? Right now, it's Colleen Hoover. Does she have the highest marketing budget that Simon & Schuster pays? No. Why is that? She is the queen of TikTok, so she has a huge following on TikTok.
Well, that's why I don't know, because she's on TikTok.
No, but I know her name because she's in the library. People are always checking out her books. And I'll say this. Now, I don't know.
Is her book like a pamphlet 2 pages long or something?
No, it's like a normal sized book.
Well, I'm thinking TikTok, you know. If her
it's possible maybe she was a writer first and then she
got on TikTok.
Got on TikTok. Maybe she got a TikTok following. Maybe that's what happened. One author wrote Paranormal, so it's sexy vampires. This book was probably her 21st book, so she's what I would call a franchise author. She's very established, though. We spent $1.2 million on the book. We spent about $60,000 on the marketing and publicity because she had such an established fan base.
Yeah.
Another author is a celebrity adjacent author, but also her platform was on social media, so we paid $450,000 for her book. We spent $36,000 on the marketing and publicity. We didn't need to spend more than that because she already booked at the print on Good Morning. She had already been booked on Good Morning America.
Good Morning America, yeah.
And the Today Show. So publicity drove that, and she didn't cost us.
Wow.
So just goes to the main thing an author gets from a publishing house is an advance. This is the last thing. This is sort of the. This is not to make you guys despair. Don't despair, any of you people, any of you struggling writers out there. That's not why I'm.
I mean, this is not shocking to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just Amazon. It's Google. It's everything else, right? Yes, Boomer works in a library. In fact, he has just finished up his finals. He's working on getting his, what would you call it, librarian certification or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Yes. Well, just so you know, you don't have to have a library to work in a library. They have all sorts of positions. I don't have a librarian position yet, but I do work in another department. And I know with my job, it helped that I worked in a bookstore. I think that's what got me hired. So, but I'll talk about that some other time. But yeah. Can you interject personal opinion when you're checking out a book for someone?
I would imagine.
I guess we're on
depends.
Rumble. I'm not going to get into trouble. You have to be sometimes careful how you interact with patrons. For instance, sometimes I'll say, if it's positive, like I like that book, I might do that once in a while.
Yeah.
I remember one guy came in, he wanted recommendations if he should read Dracula or Frankenstein. I said, oh yeah, I read those. I think I recommended Dracula. Then he came back and he said, I read Frankenstein. I read Frankenstein, I hated it. I says, well, Dracula you might like a lot more. That's what I said. Because Frankenstein's a rather depressing read. I think I cut it slack because at the time it was written, let's be honest here, the novel was probably still a very young form, so
yeah,
the fact that I could still follow the story.
And if you think through, Mary Shelley's history at the time, what influenced it, and so forth, it's like, yeah, that's a pretty grisly, dark stuff. Not to mention that the very concept of it came out of the Year Without a Summer. This dreary, gray, cold year. That everything seemed so bleak. Check out the movie Gothic. It's not 100% historically accurate, but it gives a flavor to the history. Worth checking out.
Okay, I'll think about that. I worked at a summer used bookstore. A lot of Colleen Hoover books passed through my hands. She's very popular. I don't know what to say.
A couple people have been talking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm not speaking to her quality of writing. Maybe she's really good. I don't know. I haven't read her books.
A couple of people were commenting about picking up books in secondhand stores and stuff. There's a danger there, though. Picking up an author that you've read a lot of their books and you really, really like their stuff. This has happened to Netter a bunch of times where she'll pick up, here's a book by this author. I don't recognize this book. She'll go and she'll buy it and she'll have like 2 and 3 copies of the same book.
Oh, you mean she bought it again? I see.
Yes, exactly.
That can happen too. Yep. I almost was thinking at the time when I was thinking that it could be a bootleg book being passed through used bookstores by the author, and it turns out they didn't write it. That'd be an interesting idea.
Interesting.
But I remember in China there was a Harry Potter book being sold. I think Harry Potter and something Dragon, and it turned out it was a fake Harry Potter book. And it turns out at some point, Harry Potter in the book turns into a hobbit named Bilbo and meets Gandalf. And I'm thinking they just stuck a little thing over the front of the book and then put the rest of the Hobbit. And this is all in Chinese. And I think J.K. Rowling was suing the company or something. I'm thinking, you're suing. What about the Tolkien estate?
Well, good luck with that. I mean, China does whatever the hell it wants. They're a sovereign nation, and if they don't want to play nice with international law, there's nothing you can do. So
basically, it was a fake Harry Potter book that was basically just a lazy transcription of The Hobbit on top of a preamble of Harry Potter.
So what I'm hearing is, if I want to get my fan fiction published, I'll have to do it in China.
Maybe. Books don't make money. Yikes! This is the last part of this article. This is the clincher. If I look at the top 10% of books, that 10% level gets you about 300,000 copies sold in that year.
Wait, where are you? I'm missing you here.
It's toward the end. Books don't make money, big bold letters. Books don't make money. See if you get there.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There we go. Because I skipped over some stuff because I didn't think I'd get through all this on Sunday.
That's fine.
Books don't make money. If I look at the top 10% of books, that 10% level gets you about 300,000 copies sold in that year. And if you told me I'm definitely going to sell 300,000 copies in a year, I would spend many millions of dollars to get that book. That's a quote from Madeline McIntosh, CEO of Penguin Random House, United States. Publishing houses pay millions of dollars for a book that sells only 300,000 copies? ? Well, because books don't sell a lot of copies, they don't make a lot of money. This is the blogger's opinion. Yeah. Another quote, very, very frequently, the winning bid of our calculation is a money loser.
Wow.
Marcus Dole, CEO of Penguin Random House, says the top 4% of titles drive 60% of the profitability. That goes for the rest of them, too. It would just be a couple of books in every 100 that are driving a degree of profit. 2-ish books account for the lion's share of profitability. That's Madeline McIntosh. Around half the books we publish make a profit of some kind, Michael Piech says. And about half of the books we publish make money, and a much lower percent of them earn back the advance we pay. According to Hill, 85% of the books with advances of $250,000 and up never earn out their advance, meaning the royalties earned never cover the cost of the advance money published.
So it's like these advances, they're basically buying the book on spec.
They're assuming the celebrity book might sell, but it may not sell even if it's a celebrity. So this is nuts. Part of me wonders what is holding the publishing industry together.
That's exactly what Mr. Lundell is asking.
Yes.
You know.
Books don't make money, then why are publishing houses selling business? Because I think they were arguing the books that sell offset the losers.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, I forgot who you had on as a guest. I remember I'm wondering if ESG money plays into the stuff when they start yelling at new authors to insert this type of character and that type of character. Remember you had a writer on your show who, he actually had a publisher interested, but they were going to make him add a certain character from an alphabetic community. He says, I don't know how to write that kind of character, and then he just didn't bother. I wonder if that was to get ESG money.
Probably.
Maybe the first time authors have to do all this stuff for their writers because
that's
not a
probably
name
what
like
it is
Colleen
because
Hoover.
they're backed by a Soros fund or something like that.
Because I remember balking at that, and I said, "Why on earth did they tell you to do that?"
Which again is especially this is what's driving people out of the film industry to make independent films. It'll drive authors out to make independent.
And of course, you can independently publish. Be very careful though out there. I've heard people do audiobooks and they might put them on Spotify. I heard Spotify some of these companies like Spotify, they might have a loophole in the contract where they get to keep your book after you put it on Spotify, like they own the rights to it. Make sure if you go this route that whatever you're doing, it's a fair.
And here's the other thing: everything that he was just reading here about,
it goes into more detail on the full blog.
If you're on social media and you've got a following, that is how you promote your book. If you're independent. Yeah. If you're not independent, if you're independent and you don't have a big following on social media, you're gonna kind of be stuck for trying to market that book on your own. Because let's face it, if you're independently publishing, you're doing it all. There are services out there that will press your book, and ship them out for you, but you have to do all the work. You write the book, you market the book, you
hire an editor probably.
Well, you should.
You can edit yourself, but then you still have to. In fact, that's one thing. If you ever want to submit a book to a publisher, make sure you have edited it to the best of your ability.
Yep.
because they don't want to see errors and stuff like that. Trust me.
It makes a huge difference. So
and it's hard. It's hard work. Writing is hard work. I'm not going to say it isn't.
And I'm probably going to be getting another buddy of mine on who has self-published a couple of vampire books.
There you go.
That Netter and I did helped him do promotional videos for.
I remember that. I saw some of those. Those are neat.
I'm hoping he'll do a third book in that series, and I'm going to push him to get his ass onto social media so that he can push those books. That's what you have to do these days. But yeah, so that's very interesting stuff. It's very interesting stuff.
It's like that reminds me of a joke my dad told once about a guy whose dad was a cop, and his dad gave him his lucky bullet, and he always kept the lucky bullet in his front shirt pocket. Then one day he's at a church service, and this preacher's just yelling, and he's slamming the Bible around the pulpit, and then he takes the Bible and almost hits the guy with it, but the bullet protects him from getting hit by the Bible. It's a joke because it's the guy gave the dad gave the guy his Bible and says keep it in your front pocket, and then someone shot at him and it hit the Bible and didn't kill him.
Right.
Also, he did reverse.
So when people say Jesus saves, that's your evidence.
Yes. There you go.
So last point on this, I
not,
noticed Amazon is the biggest threat to the industry, and that does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, what was this all about? I don't think I included this. Are you concerned that Amazon will favor Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster in terms of promotion and distribution? Yeah, I think they had to pay to get their books listed or something on there too. Yeah. I couldn't get into everything because it was a huge article. Yeah. But I think Amazon as a publisher of books is underestimated. They have about 50 editors. Yep. Obviously, given the numbers of people searching on Amazon for products, that gives them a huge advantage because when people go onto Amazon, if the book isn't there for what they are searching for, they could create that book. That's one theory I have. Oh, wow. So if I'm searching for a book on the rise and fall of Tengen games, and I can't find it, and if about 100,000 other people are looking for the same subject, some say make a book on the rise and fall of Tengen. They were Atari's unofficial line of NES games.
Gotta say goodnight to John. Better say goodnight. I'll leave things running for hours.
May the 4th be with you all.
Yep. You too. I gotta get up. I usually sleep in on Saturdays, obviously, because I'm sleeping it off. But I gotta get up because at noon Eastern time, certain action figures going on sale that I want to make sure that I get my pre-order in on. So
you'll have to do maybe a video on that, or at least talk
when it arrives. I absolutely will be, because it's one that I said to Netter, I'm going to be spending a lot of money on this thing. It's a custom figure. I said, but this has been something I've been waiting to get the announcement on for 2 years, and it's finally being put up for pre-order. Like I said, later today at noon. So yeah, I'll tell you guys all about that.
But it's interesting that Amazon, they could be a real threat. From what I got from the article, Simon & Schuster seemed like a dead man walking company.
It sounds like it.
And they're huge. It's what it sounded like.
And I'm going to say, too, that a lot of people that I know that have self-published through Amazon. So there's that element, too. I feel like there's a give and take. From the point of view of Simon Schuster, sure, you're going to be anti-Amazon. If you're the independent author and you're getting your book out through Amazon, maybe kind of digging it. So
I had done research on Amazon, I think, over a decade ago. I don't know if the rules have changed since then. I know back then they seemed fair.
Okay.
I think they were better than the Nook, like the Barnes & Noble version, like for Nook Publishing. But I don't know if they are still as good as they were. I don't know. I'm not an expert on self-publishing. I just, but it's interesting that they do this. What's this? A Netflix of books would put publishing out of business. What's that? That means you get to subscribe to a service and then you pick whatever book you want on your e-reader.
Yes, that would be killer. That's introducing the streaming model to books, and we know what the streaming model has done to everything in entertainment. So
Now, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on these services that libraries offer, but libraries offer every library has an e-reader service.
Yes.
Most libraries do, and like basically you can get, if you have like a tablet, or you can download an audio version if you'd rather listen to the book, and you borrow the book the same way you would borrow a physical book from your library, except you don't have to worry about late fees because the stuff gets returned automatically. And how ebooks work for a library is the library purchases so many copies of an ebook. So it's not like anyone in the system, like 100 people at once, can just check out the same book. No, there are only so many copies available, like a physical book.
Yeah.
But a lot of your local library will offer an e-reader service if that interests you. Okay, electronic book service.
I would encourage Pooty, when you sell, make sure that you work in the. Well, I don't know about Amazon. I just know from what Netter's told me about eBay. With eBay, you can work the shipping into it. You pay actual shipping, and when they go to pay, that becomes part of the charge, so you don't lose money on that. I don't know about Amazon. 6 brings up a point that I agree 100%.
A lot of people don't. Yeah,
don't enjoy reading books online. I'll tell you what, I see value in books online for what we were talking about earlier in the conversation about
books we can't find
books
anymore.
That are out of print and so forth. If the only way you can get it is online, fine. There's a lot of books in the public domain that I'm unwilling to pay for exorbitant amounts for something that's in the public domain. Sometimes I will get something on Project Gutenberg, and believe it or not, print it out for myself. And I've seen a lot of videos about book binding and stuff like that. I've created some tomes. Some of these books that I'm talking about are pretty esoteric stuff, but yeah, even if I have it in an electronic format, I do like to print it out because that's just kind of how I am. Many cheap people choose expedited, and it's a bit too. Look, I get that, but I know with eBay you get your choices, and if you want it expedited, you got to pay for it, not the person selling it. I add books to my Amazon list and go to the library and check them out and read. If I really like the book after a few years, I return to the library and buy. That makes perfect sense, Six. That's actually an ingenious idea. There's a lot of things that Netter and I have put on our Amazon list because we want to just remember it. And oftentimes Netter will come to me and say, "Did you put this on the list?" "Oh yeah, I guess I did. Do you still want this?" "Nah, you can take that off." I think any book worth reading is worth owning. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that I think a lot of people have lost sight of, I like to make notes in my book. I have been known to. There was a couple passages in both Jurassic Park and Timeline that I needed to highlight that quote or whatever it was.
And I want to tell y'all, perfectly acceptable for you to make notes and highlights in your own books. Please do not do this in library books.
I mean, that should go without saying, right? If you don't own the book, you don't have the right to deface it. You're borrowing it. You're not reading it,
Get out a sheet of note paper if you want to do that and say page something, make a note there.
It's actually why the library has a photocopier there. So you can photocopy a page or something.
Some libraries even offer free copies, so there you go. But what was I going to say? But yeah, this is just I do it. Land, Ironclads, H.G. Wells stories. I've read The Time Machine and War of the Worlds. I need to read more H.G. Wells. I should probably read Island of Dr. Moreau next.
That actually is that one is actually brilliant, especially if you're studying something. You need to be able to turn back to that page, reference it again. So yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, but again, sometimes people use those little posted tags, like the thin strips, And sometimes I got a book club bag, because we have book club bags in our library system where, you can check out a book club bag if you want to do your own book club. And it comes with 10 books you can distribute to your friends or members of the group. And the trouble is we got one back and no one wrote in the book, but one of them was filled with all of those little adhesive tags and I had to remove each one. And it's like, it didn't damage the book at least, but it's like, really?
It's just a pain in the ass for you, yeah.
And this person put them on every other page. I'm like, how many notes did you?
I used to, in college, whenever possible, I would buy used books. And invariably they were highlighted. And I'll be honest with you, some of them were actually kind of helpful. Like the person who had it before me highlighted good stuff. But there was one book I got where I swear to goodness, every page was yellow. Just all yellow. It's like, what the hell? Do you not understand the concept of taking notes?
That's a joke when, I don't know if it was on The Simpsons or something, or maybe it was a commercial where someone was busy studying for exams and you see them having the highlighter, highlighting every sentence in the book. It was a joke, because, it's all important. On Netflix of books would put publishing houses out of business. Well, let's hope we don't have one of those, but let's also hope that maybe the publishing houses cater to a certain demographic that they've been ignoring. And that certain demographic, you know what? Maybe I don't want to go there on this street.
You know what, Six? If this is a common problem for you, is go to an art store. They have a particular kind of eraser that is used for taking up. It's like a firmer eraser. It doesn't like the pink erasers, and it's specifically for taking up. What is that adhesive? I
don't know.
It comes up with boogers.
Rubber cement?
Rubber cement, thank you.
You have me with boogers. I'm like,
no, not the gum eraser. Gum erasers are the malleable ones for when you're doing charcoals and stuff. This is a much firmer one. And you just almost just scrape it along the page, and it takes up rubber cement. I'm sure it's probably pretty decent for the adhesive from Post-its. Yeah. I don't know what it is, though. You're going to have to explain to somebody at the art store it's the eraser used for taking up rubber cement.
All right. Anyway, we're pretty much done too, I think, on our end.
Yeah, no, we're ending, Stephen. Thanks so much for all of you hung out as long as you did. I'm showing 16 people still watching, and it's amazing.
I'm one of them.
Well, of course, you and Boomer are each, counted in that number. But guys, I thank you so much for hanging out with me as long as you have. You may have gotten me a couple extra cents on my my Rumble earnings, and hopefully I've earned you giving me a follow here, because, like I said, if anything happens on YouTube, because it almost invariably will, this is where y'all are going to find me. Oh, she found the thing I was talking about on Amazon. That is so funny.
What
that
else
is so
new?
Funny. And and if you are a Prime member, you can have probably tomorrow or something like that, no doubt. But yes, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Londell. So that is. Oh yeah, I guess I can probably stop. Let's see. What do I have to do to stop?
Stop what?
Yeah, that did it. Okay, there we go. That removed it without removing you. I don't know why it removed. Yeah. Anyway. So tomorrow, later tonight, I guess. Join Netter and myself as we will be over on Big Al Presents for Wizards from 1977. Ralph Bakshi.
Animated movie.
Yep.
Rotoscoping.
I believe it's Mark Hamill's first film.
Interesting. Who did he play in it, I wonder?
I think he played the main character, I think. I don't remember the movie well enough to know the character.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, So, this whole thing about him being a voice actor, yeah, I guess that's kind of how he started.
Yeah.
So that's Saturday. Sunday, of course, is all, deleted scenes all the time, starting with Western Cinema Presents and Unscripted. But then at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, Boomer, what are we doing?
Oh, we're doing Geeky Geezers.
Geeky Geezers, and you want to give everybody a little bit.
I'll give you a little taste of what's going on. Paramount and perhaps even Warner Media are both in the crapper right now because
yes, they are.
Oh my
We've
goodness.
kind of been talking about it a little bit.
And who would think it was basketball that would take down Warner Brothers? We'll get into that because apparently that's like a keystone holding them together. The NBA rights. I didn't realize this.
I know that's very very interesting
because that could screw up the Disney deal they had going with the ESPN, and we'll talk about that on Sunday. Yeah, it's just horrible. And
Tom Bosley, Mr. Cunningham, did the voice of the Good Wizard. There you go. So again, something to tune in for later tonight. And then, of course, we'll end the weekend with deleted scenes on The Other Side of Midnight. Looking forward to that too. Kind of a chill and take it down a notch type stream.
Yes.
Monday night, as John was nice enough to remind me, we'll be watching Enter the Dragon and The Last Dragon.
Oh, that's a good
double feature. Double feature
dragons.
On Monday night at the movies.
Well, I guess these would be Chinese dragons, figuratively speaking, maybe.
Well, right, exactly.
Yeah, like this one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Netter. Oh, gosh, yeah, this is I don't know how well this is going to show up on stream, but this
Look
is...
at that. Oh, that's nice.
This is a 3D print.
Oh, that's incredible. You made that with a 3D printer?
Yeah.
No. Well, I didn't. I got that one off of Temu.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
But they are... 3D prints are capable that it prints these individual segments, but prints them interlocked. So it's it works. It's pretty cool. Okay. It wasn't Tom Bosley. It was Bob Holt. Okay, fair enough. And always loved the Rubenesque fairy. Yeah, exactly. No, it's not a cat toy because a cat would kind of destroy it. That's a 3D print. So that is Monday night at the movies, double feature. Do the same thing over on Monday nights. I do one movie on all the streams, and then I shut down YouTube. And you're gonna have to join me on Rumble if you want to continue. But of course, I'm hosting the movie on Cosme, so as long as you're on Cosme, you can always see the movie with me. Tuesday, again, over on Deleted Scenes channel, at 7:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, the next episode of Twin Peaks, Season 2. We are into the last handful. I think we got 4 more to go for Season 2 for our rewatch and deep dive on Twin Peaks. I'm unaware of anything going on Wednesdays, but Thursday, Netters Network.
On my channel, if you like spooky...
Little bit of woo-woo, yeah.
Then you will absolutely love my guest, Beyond the Hub podcast with Nick.
Ooh.
We're going to be talking about haunted things, spooky things. And I love that sort of thing. I mean, you've probably heard me mention on various streams how we have spirits in our home. And I don't see them as often as I used to, but we have spirits in here. And occasionally they'll still do the thing where they'll take something and hide it, and I'll have to ask for it back. And then I'll find it like a day later, pretty close to where I had it originally. But, yeah, my special guest would be talking about the spooky. So if that's your sort of thing, make sure you tune in.
Yeah. And, his father is Dan Monroe, who does movies, music, and monsters here on YouTube. And his channel has just shot up.
Like in 3 days, he went from like 340 subscribers to like well over 1,000.
Right, exactly.
Just from his dad going, "Hey, my son's got this podcast he does. why don't you guys check it out and give him a sub? And it just went boom.
Yeah,
and like
I mean,
everybody,
Dan Monroe's got,
Yeah.
over 80,000 subscribers. He does a stream, says, hey, check out my, he just... But Netter was lucky. She reached out to him and said, hey, would you like to come on my channel and talk about your stream?
And I will probably have him on a second time when his co-host can actually make it.
Oh, good.
This time his co-host is going to be out of town, so he won't be able to make it, but his co-host really wants to be on as well. So I will have him back on then... Let's see, probably like maybe August or September or so, talk about more spooky.
Yep.
And if anyone is interested in being a guest on Netter's Network Thursday Things, you can drop me a DM on Twitter and just let me know that you're interested in being a guest. Currently, I have the 2 weeks in the middle of June open, and then July and beyond. If you don't Twitter, or for some reason Twitter's being stupid and not letting you DM me, you can email me.
Yep.
So I will see, you're in Rumble. I gotta get back to Rumble. If you go to Thursday Things, I do have my email address in the Thursday Things. What do you call it? The
about section or whatever you call it.
Underneath the
under the video, the description.
Yeah, description. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the description. So it's there as well, but I'm going to drop it here as well.
And I have just pinned a link because Tom Connors just went live with Mead Radio. If you're not going to bed immediately, jump on Mead Radio, hit the like button, and if you want to request a song, he's got his link there. Drop him a few bucks and support him.
Yeah.
He's good people.
And if you are interested in...
Tell him Troy sent you so I feel important.
And if you are interested in being a guest on Netter's Network's Thursday Things, and you send me an email, please put Thursday Things in the subject line. Otherwise, I'm just going to think it's spam, and I will just delete it because it's like I get a lot of spam mail for whatever reason.
Yep. So... There you go.
I would love to have you on. Now, my only thing is you have to have your own YouTube channel with your own content that you are trying to grow. It's great if you want to grow other people's content. That's really nice of you, but I want to know about you and your content. And so do my listeners, watchers, what do we call our peoples? So, you have to have your own channel with content of your own that you are trying to grow. Those are my only concessions.
Six, you are way too generous. She says, Troy, you are important. Thank you so much, Six. You are like one of those cheerleaders that I could never get up the nerve to talk to in high school. Let me tell you, very encouraging. Thank you so much. But that is the week in review. Oh, and then of course next week, last call, Troy Pacelli. I don't know what the topic's going to be. But,
No, but Six, I'd love to have you back on Thursday Things again if you want.
Six. Netter wants you back on the channel.
Yep.
Want to come hang out with her on a Thursday?
Let's see. I had you on last year.
It was last year, yeah.
Wait, where was it? Last year, May 25th. So it's been a year. So I'd love to have you back on.
We'd love to hear your voice again because you have such a great voice. Maybe you ought to think about maybe doing like an ASMR thing on your channel.
I have June 13th and June 20th open if you're interested in June or July and beyond. So let me know.
There you go. So, Boomer, have I missed anything that we wanted to cover? Any last words? Any other thoughts?
No, just next Friday we'll be doing... did you have decided yet?
I don't think we have.
Okay, but I mentioned something before you, and I think I mentioned something we should do before the stream, so I'll bring it up again to you later.
Okay, we'll talk about it in the green room. But yeah, we'll have something. It's always going to be fun. So come hang out with us. And good. And Netter, last thoughts, or you want to just take us out?
Well, of course, I always remind everyone to make sure that you are subbed to every member of the panel as well as every member of the chat. And if you think you're subbed, please go back and double check that you're still subbed because YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. I realize we're on Rumble right now, so on Rumble, make sure that you are, I think it's following Troy, myself, and Boomer.
Yep.
I always follow everyone back, so you follow us, we follow you. together we grow, just like PJ from Marvel Nation always says. And with that said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat, and you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you know you're not just our friends.
Yeah.
You're our family. We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here. Still here.
After 3 hours, yeah.
I mean, I want this jamoke over here, like, all the time.
Right.
But it's like, you know, you could choose to be anywhere, and you're here, and that is so encouraging. I mean, this is family, hanging out with family, you know? So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for encouraging us. Thank you for supporting us.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing in Osmo.
Yep.
And if you don't know what Osmo means,
check out her stream from yesterday.
Right. Look at my stream for Thursday Things from yesterday, and I explained all about Osmo. But, you know, we couldn't really do this without you guys. I mean, like I said, we can talk amongst ourselves, but, yeah, it's more fun with you guys.
Yes.
But until the next stream, which will be tomorrow night on, deleted scenes in the afternoon, and then Big Al on Big Al's channel. Until then, good night and God bless.
Absolutely. Last words from me, something that we didn't talk about as much as I thought we might have. Books. Great way to learn things.
Yes.
Right? So something that you've been wanting to learn more about, find out how to do, get out there and find a book. Or, you know, as they used to say in the show Voyager, take a voyage down to your local library. It's all in books.
Oh yeah, it's like I always love reading because it's like you get into a book and you can just visualize being in this different place and going on these adventures or whatever. It's like if you get a good author, you can visualize the entire environment that you're in. Dean Koontz is really good at that. He's one of my favorite authors.
He immerses you, absolutely. And very important, as I said at the top of the show, books are the original physical media. Thanks, everyone. Take care, and we will catch you on the next one.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.